Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Graham Show. I'm Mike Graham, and this is the Mike Graham Show. As you can see, look at this. I've even learned how to do that right. It's 2 minutes past 7. I apologise for being slightly tardy this morning, but it is a bank holiday, and of course, most people aren't actually working, which means it's easier to get into work, which doesn't explain why we're late. Why we're late is because we were chatting, and also Pooch is on the international clock still, which, as you can see behind me, is slightly confusing for those of you who don't know what time it is where you are now. But in London, England, Great Britain, the United Kingdom is now 2 minutes past 7 and 41 seconds. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined on this very special augmented occasion by Mr. Will Geddes, who is here to talk us through some of the stories in the papers. For those of you wondering where Emma is, Emma's indisposed. She's been in later in the week. Don't worry about that. She's absolutely fine. She's having a different sort of day here on planet Earth. So we've got loads of things to talk about. Big weekend for people who don't like working. But, it's amazing how quiet the roads are on a bank holiday Monday.
Oh, my goodness. I got here in no time at all this morning, Michael. It was super fast. Almost too early.
Yeah, me too. And Pooch, of course, who was away at the weekend, is back. So welcome back, Pooch. Thank you very much indeed. We've got all the heron-type mugs going on. We've got
I got one.
Will's got a Mike Graham Show mug. We've got herons everywhere. And also, we're only a couple of days away now. I said it last night. It was only 3 sleeps. It's now only 2 sleeps, isn't it? Yeah. Until our live show at the Shepherd's Bush Empire. So if you haven't got a ticket yet, you might need to think about getting one, because this is going to be absolutely blockbuster time. We're going to have Will Geddes is going to be there for a start. We've got Lewis McLeod coming over. We've also got Intel Lady, who's been doing some great stuff lately on Angela Rayner's drunkenness, which is going to be fantastic, right? Bridget Phillipson as well. Did you see the Bridget Phillipson piece in the Times at the weekend, where they did her up in a sort of fashion shoot? No. And she looks really strange. I mean, it's just, I'll find it. We'll do it, maybe not today, but maybe this week. They've done like a whole series of, studio shots that they do. Yeah. And they've made her look like somebody from Hollywood. I mean, it just doesn't look right. They've done something to her hair. It looks like they've made her look thinner.
Would you?
Well,
would you?
Do you know, it's a funny question, that, but before the Times piece, definitely not. But if you look at the pictures of the Times, it's quite a different thing. But anyway, we'll get to all of that. But no, seriously, you've got to come. Stephen Barrett is going to be there as well, our favourite barrister. We're going to have Right Said Fred. They're going to be coming along. Carol Decker from Tapau. Will Geddes is, he was the first one I mentioned. He's coming twice. Right?
I'm coming twice.
But for the first part,
I'm going to leave,
part,
and then hopefully my gammy eye is going to be better, so I won't be wearing my sunglasses.
Who is Lewis's brother, is going to be sort of master of ceremonies, and we're looking out for any noises you can make that sound like Donald, because obviously Lewis McLeod says he sounds a bit like a strimmer, like that. It's brilliant. Hey?
Congratulations to Lewis.
Congratulations to Lewis, of course. Yeah, it turns out Lewis McLeod and his wife have just had a baby. Just yesterday. Well done. So many congratulations. He'll be telling us all about that, of course, when he gets over here. And also, we're going to have Marilyn Halls is coming, right? You might be put on protective duty for Marilyn Halls.
Oh, really? Why?
We're going to try and keep her sober.
Keep her sober. Not sure I could help with that one, Mike.
Before she comes on towards the end of the show. Chris Walkie's coming, because we're going to do a bit of plonk of the week. We're going to do a bit of plank of the week as well. William Yarwood's coming. He's going to do his impression of Starmer, which is getting very good, by the way. So tickets at Ticketmaster. We'll put out a link later. But it's going to be a fantastic night. Hundreds and hundreds of people have bought tickets. There are very few seats left, sort of up in the back, but you'll still get a good view because it's a beautiful theatre.
Yeah, it's a great theatre.
It's a great place. You've been there.
Yeah, I've been there too. I've seen quite a few gigs there. It's a really,
well, everybody's played there.
It's a really nice intimate venue.
It's a really nice intimate. But most recently, the Foo Fighters did a show there.
Oh, did they?
Because they did a small kind of tour.
I think quite a few.
Everyone's done it.
Who was it?
David Bowie's played there.
Alicia Keys. She went and did one there.
Alicia Keys has played there. Alanis Morissette's played there. You've probably covered a few.
I've covered a few celebrities who've done stuff there.
Chippendales.
But no one has said it's important to you.
His favourite group, the Chippendales, have played. We think Keir Starmer might have seen that. Starmer, by the way, is over in Armenia. What's he doing there?
Oh, he's over there to build relations with the EU, because obviously we miss them. And we love all their bureaucracy.
Yeah.
That, they can push
well, there's a piece on the front page of the Times saying Britain told to pay £1 billion a year to the European Union after the reset. Yeah. That's a terrible word, that, isn't it? Yeah. But basically, Brussels has told... This is where we are now in the world, right? Yeah. Brussels has told Sir Keir Starmer that Britain will have to make annual payments into European budgets for the first time since Brexit as part of the Prime Minister's reset with the bloc. So well done, Keir. So we have another round of applause for Keir Starmer. Let's give away
never hear Keir.
Yeah, never hear Keir. Let's give away £1 billion of our money, taxpayers' money, to the European Union, right?
Nice.
What on earth are they thinking? What's going on here?
You know what I particularly liked was the fact that Zelensky, who's down there, because obviously he loves a free party and a free meal, got himself down there.
Doesn't he know there's a war on?
Yeah.
He spends more time away.
Apparently he came by train.
Never hear Zelensky. He's never in Ukraine, is he?
But he turned around, apparently, the first thing he said to Never Hear Keir was, "You're alone."
Yeah. Step into my bureau over here. A couple of people asking about your eyes, Charles. Charles is asking. Last time we saw you, you were wearing dark glasses because you'd had a bit
most
of
my interviews are with dark glasses at the moment because I basically caught a shot from my boxing coach.
Yes.
And now I've got a bit of an eye infection. So rather than put you all off your breakfast, I thought I'd wear these. So.
It doesn't actually look that bad, but we put the glasses look kind of cool. And the last time Will was on from his house, he had the glasses on, and people thought you looked very cool.
Oh, that's very kind of them.
The kind of the international man of mystery look.
I'm doing my Stevie Wonder impression.
Yeah, absolutely. But those are like the old Foster Grants they used to advertise.
Excuse me, these are Carrera vintage, 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
I haven't sat on them yet.
Well, when I said Foster Grants, I meant it was that kind of vintage. That was in the 70s. That was what everybody wanted to wear, wasn't it?
Worth a few bob.
I bet they are. Yeah. They're nice, actually. Yeah. I like them.
Stole them off my ex-wife.
Really?
No.
While she was asleep. Anyway, we've got lots to talk about as well. Coming up, we're going to be getting into all the stories on the front pages. This morning, lots of the front pages are different. This one from Super Chat from Dreve. It says, "Good morning, hope you've had a good weekend." I have actually, yeah. Managed to get down to Sussex, saw the dog, saw the family, some of them. And it was all right. Had a bit of a rest.
How is Ziggy?
Ziggy's fine, but he's getting very old. We're getting to the
know.
point.
Well, last time I saw him, he was kind of slow. He's enjoying the good life now.
He's such a lovely dog. But we're now thinking of getting him a sort of a sling because he can't get in the car, right?
Oh really?
Bless. So not because he can't jump up first of all, but also we can't really lift him in because his bones are all a bit sort of arthritic. So there's this sling thing you can get where you just put his legs through it and lift him up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you put it over your shoulder, you just put him in the car like that. So
Nice.
we're going to do that, we think. That might be the way to go.
So I've got another killer in my house now.
Have you?
Lord Waffle caught a mouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was a mouse that turned up and he got very excited. I did rescue the mouse though.
Well, did you? Would you put him back
I did
outside?
Rescue him and put him outside.
Because my sister's got a cat called Spooky, who is a good name, and he's completely black, by the way. And
not a good name.
Well, Spooky's okay. See, you've fallen foul of the woke brigade, And he's a fantastic cat. He's huge, right? He's huge, and. She lives in fear of him because he likes to bring a chipmunk into the house in Connecticut. Yeah,
and
nice. Then he won't kill it though because he thinks it's a game.
No.
Look,
Waffle was doing that.
Rambling house with lots of furniture and stuff. And the worst thing is if you lose the chipmunk in the house.
Yeah.
Right, and you have to then turn the house upside down. The cat, of course, loves it because he's just waiting to
torturing it.
Waiting to torture.
That's what Waffle was doing.
Exactly.
You've met Waffle.
Yeah, Waffle is
huge.
He's
a big unit. He's
a big
fast.
unit.
He's quick.
He's big, and so the thing is that she has to be really careful about. Because you can't leave the door open for him to go in and out because he'll just find a chipmunk and bring it in, and the chipmunk will be wandering about half his head falling off. It's pretty horrible. But anyway,
and on that tasty note,
Farmer guy says my cat Gary kills rats. Well, cats are. I mean,
they're brilliant.
I've seen a cat in my neighbourhood in East London chasing a fox down the road.
Oh yeah,
because then
they fear nothing.
They don't
fear nothing,
and they are they're very good at killing, aren't they?
Well, they're good at torturing.
Swordfish says his brother's cat had the same name. It was also a black cat, so I have a black cat named Taco. Says Cindy Smith.
Nice,
that's nice. Ziggy was so sweet on your weekend post, says Di, wagging husband's tail when he saw the other dog, but he still waddled back behind Mike. Yeah, I mean, he's because I do this thing now called the weekend wind-up.
Oh, do you?
Where I go out in a field and just walk and talk, and the dog's usually somewhere behind me. And and I didn't know this until somebody pointed it out. But the one I did this weekend, he meets another dog, and he's like his little waggy tail goes around and around. It's very nice, very sweet. Anyway, should we have a look at the? Oh, hang on. Carl says this will be pedant of the day, Pooch. Sound engineer talking in the background off camera. Excuse me, he's not a sound engineer. He's the guy that runs the show. He's the boss, basically.
He's the man who makes it all happen.
He says it's very irritating. You can't hear what he's saying. Just low-pitched muttering distracting from the conversation. What do you reckon, Pooch?
I'll get a mic.
The idea is that he's in the background. That's the way it's meant to work, right?
We love it.
Anyway, coming up on the show, after Will Geddes today, we've got Lord Malcolm Offford from Scotland, the Reform Party, Lee Nallingham, who's had some brilliant statistics out recently about crime rates in this country. Anne Widdicombe joins us, Christian Drogan from Watchmen, Lisa Francesca Nand as well, on the trouble with travelling at the moment. An Intel lady.
She's great. I like Lisa.
Lisa is good.
Lisa's really good.
She's been doing great reporting on travelling for years.
I haven't seen her for a while. It'd be nice to see her.
Yeah, well, she's being resurrected here on the Mike Graham show.
Love it. She's really good and she knows her stuff.
She does indeed. An Intel lady's coming in later on in the show as well. She's, of course, here on Wednesday night, and she's done some brilliant stuff over the weekend on Hannah Spencer, the fake plumber, from Gorton and Denton, and also on the drunken Angela Rayner. Did you see the stories at the weekend?
I didn't see this.
No, Angela Rayner, well, Dan Hodges apparently witnessed her absolutely... What's the word? Banjaxed, leathered in House of Commons Strangers Bar.
Really?
Where apparently she was so pissed that when she got up to leave, she walked into the door.
Brilliant.
The door then had to be taken away for repairs because that's how,
Well, she's a unit, isn't she?
She's quite clumsy. She is a bit of a unit, yeah. Although I don't think I've ever been in her company, actually. I don't think I've ever been in the same place. But she's quite tall, isn't she?
I wouldn't fight it.
No, I wouldn't. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Shall we go through the papers? We've got this one story about...
We've got so much to go through, Mike.
Front page of the Daily Mail is it's a home run for me because it's about parking fines.
So you know what it's like. You park in the wrong place, or you park quickly because you're dropping something off or picking something up.
Or you just park where you think you're allowed to park.
Well, exactly.
Right?
And then the next thing happens is you come back and you find one of those lovely yellow tickets on your windscreen, which is usually like this? Stuck on, with horrible IDs.
Do you mean something like that?
Yeah, something just like that.
Yeah. I'm holding it up.
There we go.
But I'm not seeing it, though, because I'm seeing the papers at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
There you go.
That's the fella.
Something like that. I'm going to open this on the show.
Yeah.
Because this is a fresh ticket.
Yeah.
I only got it last night.
And it's probably about 80 quid or something?
I'm going to find
140
out.
quid.
On a Sunday, when I was told it's safe to park around here on a Sunday because there's no parking wardens.
Right. What, here?
Well, not actually here, but where I was parking.
Oh, right.
I was in North London, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to open it and see. And I was so... It was one of those where... do you know in some areas of North London, you've got lots of driveways?
Yeah.
So the curbs go up and down.
Yes.
So there's not that many spots where you can actually park a car.
Yeah, it's just a little gap, a bit of raised curb between driveways.
Right. And most of those you can't park on, right?
Yeah.
So there was a bus stop, there was a double yellow line,
right,
and then beyond the bus stop there was a space. So I went into the space.
Was it single or a double?
It was nothing.
It was nothing.
The double yellow line stopped,
yeah,
and then there was nothing. There was no marking on the road at all. So I parked. Right. It turns out that I was in a bus stop.
What?
But the bus stop,
unless it was actually painted on the road,
bus stop box,
it shouldn't be.
The bus stop box was not visible because it was worn away.
Did you take a picture?
I did.
Good.
So here we are.
But the boring thing is what they're also counting on is you not contesting it.
Yes.
Because of the fact
I've been advised to
of
contest it. It says here, observe from 15:30 to 15:30. So for 1 minute they observed it. A penalty charge of £160 is payable.
What? But 80 quid if you pay it the next
quid
week?
if you pay it, yeah. So that's how much it is now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, right? Date of services notice, 3rd of May. Blah, blah, blah. With respect to vehicle, on the grounds that on the date, the following controversy stopped at a restricted bus stop or stand. Now, I'm going to show you the picture.
Yeah.
Right? Because I got out of the car.
Yeah.
It was parked on the right-hand side of the road.
There are no road markers.
I looked to my left, and I could see a bus stop, but I wasn't parked in front of the bus stop. I was parked, at least 2 car lengths away.
Okay.
All right. However, according to them, I'm still in a bus stop. So there's no marking. Look, see that?
No, you're fine, mate.
There's nothing there.
You could contest that.
The only thing is that when I looked on the other side, there's that, which I didn't see because I wasn't...
Oh, no. That's rubbish, mate.
I couldn't even, but I didn't look that way. But there's the double yellow line, right?
No, that's fine. Yeah, it should be a solid line, mate. If there's
so
a solid line for the
if I show this pitch, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind there is a bus stop, but there's no marking on the road.
No.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to contest it.
Yeah. You know what? I actually, if any of the viewers have any kids who are looking for a side hustle this summer, set up a business helping people like me and Mike contest tickets.
Yeah.
Because the reason why they give us these tickets is because they don't want us to contest them.
Yeah.
And I've had a few which I've gone, you know what? I just can't be bothered to
Well,
do
that's
it,
the thing.
which is the worst.
I mean,
bit.
I had a situation like that with Southwark Council where they did me for going the wrong way up a one-way street.
Yeah.
But the sign was so high that you couldn't see it. You know, if you're sitting in a car like that and you couldn't see the no entry sign because it was about 15 feet in the air.
Right.
So I contested it.
Yeah.
And then their first answer was, no, your appeal's already been turned down.
Right.
I went, well, I haven't made it yet. I said, I've only just sent it to you. And they went, well, it's already been turned down. And I said, well, what do I do now?
How can they do that?
I know. And I said, what do I
do
do now? And they said, well, you can contest it again, but you have to do it in writing. Right, and I'm thinking, what? So I have to write a letter, print it out, put it in an envelope, go to a post office, put a stamp on it.
Pay for a stamp.
I said, in the end, it's just. I said, this is what you do. It's more easy for me just to pay it because I think it was 65 quid.
Exactly.
Just paid it
Because you can just do it by credit
What are
card.
Labour planning to do?
So what Labour's planning to do is double up your problem. So you know what it's like. You get a ticket, you come back to the car and you go, bollocks, I've got a ticket.
Yeah.
I might as well go and do a couple of other errands in the area.
Yeah.
Because you got a ticket and it's probably going to be some time, unless you're really in a hot zone or you're on a red line or something like that, where you're likely to get actually towed. You're probably going to go, well, I've already got the ticket, so I'll just take it and just go and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
What they're going to do now is actually decide to do double ticketing. So within a particular time period,
so they can give you another ticket.
Once you've had one ticket, if you haven't moved your car after a certain period of time, they'll give you another ticket.
Some places do that already.
Do they?
Yeah,
I didn't know
because
that.
I'm pretty sure they used to do that in Edinburgh.
Okay.
When I was living up there. But I used to always...
And also councils outside of London
Yeah.
are going to start charging this 160 quid as well.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, for example, down in Battle, down in Sussex, right, they've got a car park there, and it's £1 to park for, say, I think you get an hour or 2 hours for
that's
£1,
good.
which is great.
Yeah.
But guess what the penalty is if you go over? 80 quid. And you go, well, that's insane. I mean, make it 20, and people would actually probably think, well, that's a fair, comparison.
Trade-off.
If you didn't pay your 2 quid, we'll charge you 20. But not 80.
80 quid's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's again, I mean, I don't know enough about it, and probably some of the viewers will make some good comments on this and inform us. But it's these private enforcement companies that do these private car parks.
Yes.
They're the ones who are absolutely ripping.
And they're the ones who also have no actual legal right to charge you anything.
No,
because
I think you can get away with it by just going two fingers and.
But the problem with that is that they then come after you in a sort of trying to get a county court judgment.
Yeah, well, that's it. What you don't want is a CCJ because then that's going to screw your credit.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's best to pay. Here's one from a man from Kernow. I saw a car with 4 tickets stuck to its window in Scarborough.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are places where they do this, but I used to get, when I was working for Talk 107 up in Edinburgh, when I was running it, and we had some, advertising cars and news cars, they're branded cars that used to go out, and they used to always get loads of tickets.
Right.
But I would always challenge them on the basis that the way that the machines were calibrated were not necessarily in cahoots or in tandem with the calibration of the wardens, and they could, and if it was only a minute or two over, we always got away with it. Here's one from Jackie who says, I parked in a car park, paid, the machine was faulty, it had the wrong date on it, I got fined because the machine did not display my full licence on the ticket. I appealed and still got fined.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it is ridiculous.
It's a scam, isn't it?
It's a total scam.
It's a proper scam.
And millions of pounds are being made every single year.
Well, do you remember a few years back, there was that whole issue about these private car park contractors, hospitals, where people were taking very sick relatives in or going to visit sick relatives, and they were literally ripping the backside out of it, out of people who were trying to park there.
I know.
And I don't know what the situation is now, but the government, I think, were talking, maybe it was the previous government, they were talking about trying to ban any kind of car parking fees at hospitals, which I think should be done, to be fair.
In Scotland, I think they made it possible for nurses to park for free.
Big
staff to park for free, but not everybody else. And again, I mean, an awful lot of hospitals, for example, don't even have a place to park.
Yeah.
So if you are going there, and say, for example, you've got a very heavily pregnant wife with you, and she can't really walk very far, there's a drop-off zone, but then you've got to disappear.
Oh, brilliant.
And so you have
that's
to drop
reassuring
them.
for your soon-to-be-delivered child.
Or if you've got somebody who's really unwell and you're taking them in, not to A&E, but you're just taking them in because they're being admitted to hospital.
Throw them out.
You've literally got to stop the car, kick them out, and hope that they can make their own way in. It's unbelievable the way it works, So, I mean, I'm all for your stories today, because it is a bank holiday, about some of the tickets that you've got and how you've got. Cindy says, Mike, be sure to check your box. I've sent you and Pooch St George's ties from Etsy with matching handkerchiefs. Thank you very much indeed. We haven't really seen much in the way of mail for a while, have we, Pooch? So I don't know what's happened to it. Maybe somebody's
Intercepting your mail.
Intercepting it, yeah. Could be.
You ignore the last one.
The last one. Deary Kiri is in Armenia. I'm not reading that out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Starmer. What's he got? I mean, does he not know there's an election on?
Weird. I mean, he just likes going overseas to these random events.
But he obviously doesn't want to go anywhere where he's going to get booed, which is basically anywhere in Britain.
Probably by his own cabinet and his own party.
Anywhere in Britain. I mean, over the weekend we saw all these stories about Andy Burnham, who's now not going to be blocked from standing for a seat for the Labour government because he wants to be the next leader. We saw all sorts of stories about anybody but Ange. There's a group out now trying to stop Angela Rayner.
It's a sort of two-horse race, isn't it? It's Andy Burnham or Ange, isn't it? Who are sort of pitching for the leadership.
But it's not just them. I mean, they all are really. Shabana Mahmood apparently is quite keen on it. Yeah, and she's one of the people that supposedly the Labour government likes to put in charge. John Healey apparently is also in the running, but he's hopeless. He's the Defence Secretary.
Hang on, sorry, he's hopeless. What about the rest?
Yeah, but I mean, there was a time when people thought he was good.
Yeah.
Because when he started, he seemed like a guy who was a bit more considered, a bit less mad, left-wingy, and a bit more kind of, sensible.
Yeah.
But he's turned out to be just as bad as them. And this morning in the Times, right, how about this? You'll like this one, being a military man. Britain's armed forces can only think about preparing for war as a lack of funding has left no money to buy any new weapons until 2030.
Wow.
So that is what? 4 years away.
Yeah.
So the Russians are invading. The Iranians are firing some missiles at us.
Yeah. We've got HMS dragging its heels.
Give us 4 years and we'll buy some guns.
It's just shocking. What? It's really, really, really bad.
Oh, yeah, good idea. Let's play. We've got some live footage of Keir Starmer arriving in Armenia. Check it out.
Brilliant. It's a customs official, isn't it?
He's doing that thing with his hands again where he touches them.
He's very touchy-feely, Keir, isn't he?
He does that thing on the shoulders too long, right?
Yeah.
But it's
like that awkward uncle who sort of places his hand.
Yeah, how are you, Will?
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, all right. Just take a step back.
Where on the teddy did he touch you?
Yeah, I know. But, the thing is, right, there's something weird going on with his hair. Because as he gets more and more unpopular, his hair seems to be getting stiffer.
It's weird, isn't it?
There's a story that it's not real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it a syrup?
There's a story that it's a bit of a syrup, a bit of a toupee.
Nice.
Because if you look at it, it's got so much gel in it that it doesn't look like hair anymore. He looks like, do you remember that guy, Max Headroom?
Yeah.
Who had the kind of the
weird...
it
is a bit of a Max Headroom head, isn't it?
It's a Max Headroom haircut, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand why, nobody understands why he behaves in the way that he does. And he just looks, I mean, Zelensky asks him if he's alone.
Yeah.
He looks like a man who's literally got no friends.
None.
He's got no wife that wants to talk to him. His kids don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's all on his own, and that's probably why he's gone to Armenia.
He's got to pay for his friends.
Just to get out of the house. Let's have a look at that last one. Sorry, I missed it. Looked good. Just had to stay up to watch the live show. And bonus, the very gorgeous Will Geddes is the first guest.
Thanks, Watson.
It's 11:15 here in Malibu, California. I was sleepy, but not now. Wow. Well, what can I say? Glasses on or off? What do you think, Watson?
No, you don't want them off. Gammy eyes.
No, exactly. Also, the other big story of the weekend was, of course, what happened in Golders Green and the fallout from that. Obviously,
my God. And did you see Polanski on Trevor Phillips?
I don't know why he keeps getting invited onto these shows, right? Because apart from anything else, yes, you could say the Green Party is kind of... one of those parties which is increasing in popularity. But somebody asked me at the weekend, how can you be the leader of a political party and not actually be an MP?
Yeah.
Because that's one question, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
And they've got 5 MPs in Parliament.
Yeah.
Why isn't one of them the leader? Surely they should have a Westminster leader
I
at
don't
least.
know. I don't know what the rules and the
I mean, I think there's no hard and fast rule that you have to be in Parliament. But if the Green Party gets to the point where it's quite a large party, and certainly the projections suggest that they might have as many as 22 MPs.
You think?
Surely they'd have to have an MP that sits in Parliament in Westminster, you would think, as a leader. Anyway, let's have a look at him being defenestrated by Trevor Phillips, because this is what happened yesterday.
Let me put a thought experiment to you. Imagine you are talking to Shlomi Rand or Norman Shine, the two men who were stabbed in Golders Green, how do you persuade them that what happened to them was somehow kind of in their imaginations? I mean, you've got to be clear about this. You can't have it both ways. Either there is something real here, or you're saying that some Jewish people are not making it up, but they're imagining something that is real that isn't real.
Trevor, that's an outrageous distortion of what I just said.
No, I'm kind of repeating what you've just said, what you said earlier in the week, and what you've just said to me, actually.
So this is the guy basically who claims that because he's Jewish, he understands what anti-Semitism is like. However, he got into a lot of trouble last week because he suggested that the police, and you'll have an interest in this story, the police were too heavy-handed with the terrorist suspect. Now, you know plenty about self-defence and also about the control
and also the law
of
and dealing with someone who's got a weapon
of dangerous people. So basically, the offending arrest, as far as he was concerned, was that you saw the police kicking this guy in the head. He still had a knife in his hand.
He was holding on to it. I mean, if people have seen it, they'll see exactly what's going on. The police officers are instructing him to release the knife and release the weapon. And it was a big machete. And he was hanging onto it. He was lying on top of it after he'd been tasered, but he was still capable. I've been tasered. I know what it's like to be tasered. Yes, it's not very nice, but you know, it doesn't bolt you in.
Well, it doesn't sort of destabilise everyone either, does it? Because there are some people who you've seen
if they're high on drugs or very drunk,
it could be needing to be tasered more than once.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, he was holding on to it. The police officer. What are they going to do? Put their hand underneath, risk getting cut with that knife, getting assaulted further by these guys? And bear in mind, this guy, they may not have known at the time, but we know that he'd attacked police officers previously.
He's been accused of attempted murder, right? And as I say, we have to be careful because it's a live case now. However, there was certainly a fear that this was a guy with intent to hurt and to kill. As far as they know, because of what they'd observed. And so, in my view, any determination that they make to restrain him is acceptable.
You've got to separate the perpetrator from the weapon. That's the first thing you've got to do. And if the perpetrator is not relinquishing the weapon, you've got to do whatever is necessary. The guy's lying down. The only best option, kick him in the head.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you listen to the video, you can hear the police officers actually saying, "Let go of the weapon. Let go of the weapon."
And presumably,
you hang on to it, you're going to get more boots.
If you're being trained in law enforcement, if you're being trained in restraining people, the first thing you're told to do is to minimise, presumably, the risk to yourself and to anybody else.
Yeah, of course.
And so, therefore, you must, in some way, disarm and make it possible for that, or make it impossible for that person to do anybody any harm.
Yeah, it's proportionate. You've got to inert the threat. I mean, and that was proportionate force.
And of course,
in my
what he
estimation.
said since then, Polanski, because he's been on several shows yesterday, is that he apologised that he'd retweeted somebody's tweet that said it was, police brutality or something, right?
Yeah.
And he hasn't actually apologised for calling out the police. The police actually unusually wrote an open letter to him.
Yeah.
So Mark Rowley was openly critical of him, saying that he was likely to inflame tensions and all that.
Absolutely.
But all he said he's sorry that he did it on social media, which was the wrong medium. He wants to have the conversation with the police.
Idiot.
I mean, he is an idiot.
He's
not in front of the Sun
I'm really
today.
pleased Mark Rowley actually came out in defence of his officers. That was, I think, really important because their morale is super low right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But imagine if you're one of those police officers and you end up being put in front of a disciplinary hearing because you kicked the head of somebody who was trying to murder Jews.
Exactly.
I mean, ridiculous.
It's insane.
Zach Polanski's on the front of the Sun as well because he won't back calls to ban the phrase "globalise the Intifada." He doesn't think it's racist. He thinks it's fine, right? Even Keir Starmer's now come around to the idea that it actually might be something that he has to look at banning.
Yeah, I know. Right? I mean, and they should. I mean, that's hate speech, surely.
Well, of course it is.
Isn't it?
Well, I would have thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody went around saying...
If I put that on Facebook, I'd probably get arrested, wouldn't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one about Zach Polanski, the tit whisperer. Somebody says he used to be a tit whisperer, now he's just a tit, which is absolutely fine. Has he hypnotised himself into being the biggest tit in politics? I also heard that one going on as well. But also, front page of the Times, Labour MP for Golders Green, who's called Sarah Sackman, she was also booed when she went up there last week. She's criticised the lack of a vocal solidarity for the Jewish community among parts of the liberal left, because they don't condemn anti-Semitism. Well, I mean, somebody else has said to me over the last few days that the problem with the Green Party is that they've now adopted all of the nutters and crackpots from the Jeremy Corbyn side of Labour. All the Corbynistas have now gone to the Greens, and they're anti-Semitic. Yes. Because not only do we know that, but it was proven that the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn was anti-Semitic.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The human rights lobby found that out and judged them to be anti-Semitic. So we know who they are.
Yeah.
We know what they are, right?
But the thing I find baffling is all these lefties came out to protest for George Floyd.
Yeah.
Not even a resident of this country, and a criminal. And yet they're not going out to protest to protect, obviously, the Jewish community.
No, of course not. No, because they don't like the Jewish community.
No, but they blanket the whole thing, and you can't blame, the Jewish community for what Benjamin Netanyahu's doing if you disagree with what he's doing. What the government's doing. It's a bit like blaming everybody in the UK for what Keir Starmer's doing.
I know. It is ridiculous.
It's
but the reason it's anti-Semitic is because these people believe that Israel is evil and bad and it shouldn't exist, and they should not have. Yeah, every Jew.
And how insane is that comment?
Well,
or that opinion.
It's how similar is it to things that have been said about Jews in the past by some people who are pretty unsavoury.
Indeed.
Not to say criminally insane.
Yeah.
It's just been pointed out to me that it is May the 4th. I know it's May the 4th. They do that
May the 4th be with you.
Be with you thing, right? Yeah. We can do that.
That's it.
Now, you've got a couple of other stories that you want to talk about.
Some really important stuff.
In the Daily Mail. So shoot.
Some very important stuff.
Oh, we've got to get news. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Is Edward Hughes working today?
Yeah.
Edward Hughes is back.
Has he got his mohawk still?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out.
All right.
We were supposed to try and get to 5,000 likes the other day for him to shave it all off. I don't think we did. So let's see. What's your hair like? Let's get the news with Edward Hughes.
Good morning. I'm Edward Hughes. Bell End Starmer's off to Armenia to beg politely if we can chip into the EU's £78 billion Ukraine loan. It's not his bloody money. In Bristol, a house exploded suspiciously, killing a man and woman. Police say not terrorism, which is code for please don't panic, but yeah, it's dodgy. And in the ongoing vibes check, Starmer's musing about banning certain pro-Palestinian marches because the cumulative effect on communities is getting a bit stabby. 2 Jewish men attacked in London recently. Peaceful protest, innit? The rest is the usual greatest hits. Tragic crashes, charges years later, and the general sense that 2026 is just 2025 with worse weather and higher bills. Oh, and by the way, the wife has taken me back. Please remember to like and subscribe. Laters, tigers.
Welcome to the Shepherd's Bush Empire, the home of free speech, certainly for one night only, May the 6th, right here on the stage in front of me. You'll be here behind me. There'll be loads and hundreds of you will be here watching a fantastic show, Mike Graham and Friends. We've got Lewis MacLeod, one of the world's greatest impressionists. He'll do his Donald Trump. I'm sure he's got a Starmer now. He's got to do a Starmer, otherwise we're not letting him in. He's also very good at Nigel Farage, of course. He'll do that. We've got Intel Lady as well. She's going to do Emily Maitlis, with the fake tan, brilliant. And also the fantastic Bridget Phillipson. She'll also do Angela Rayner and all of those great Labour women. You'll see all of that. We're going to have Right Said Fred going to be here. I'm too sexy for my shirt, right? Too sexy. And then we're going to have Carol Decker from Tapau. She's promised that she might not sing, so we don't know if she's going to do that. But it's China in your hand, apparently. China in my hand. He keeps changing. That's why I get confused. She keeps me a bollocking. And then Pooch, of course, is here producing it. Absolutely brilliant. My kids are going to be here, hopefully helping out. We'll have merchandise for you. You can have shirts, you can have hats, you can have bumper stickers, all sorts of stuff going on. Donald MacLeod will be here, of course, as well, Lewis's brother. He's masterminding the whole thing. Fantastic guests are going to be joining as well. Will Geddes is going to be here, our favourite international man of mystery. Marilyn Hawes, our favourite piss artist, she's going to be here. Doing Plonk of the Week. Chris Walkey's going to bring a few bottles of fizz with us, but we're not allowed to drink before the show because otherwise that would be a no-no. And then, of course, we've got Anna McGovern. Emma Wolf is going to be here, we think. We've got Stephen Barrett, the world's greatest barrister, right? We're going to get the benefit of him. We're going to be sitting there on the stage, sofas, desks. We're going to have clocks. We must have some clocks, actually. A couple of herons as well. Yeah, I think we'll have a heron or two. Obviously, it'd be nice if we had a couple of dogs to bring on, but we haven't. But we may not be allowed to do that. But it's May the 6th. If you haven't got a ticket yet, Ticketmaster is where you get it. Ticketmaster.co.uk. Look for the Shepherd's Bush Empire. It's the O2, May the 6th. Doors open around about 7 o'clock. It's going to be a fantastic night. I can't wait for it personally. It's going to be tremendous, absolutely amazing. I can't wait. See you there. Patrick says, hi Mike, scrap that news item on your show. I struggle to take it seriously. Great show as always. Huh? Well, we have to have news on the show, otherwise we lose our licence. I'm joking. What would you rather do instead of the news? That's from Patrick. Yeah. Also, I've got an update for you on Edward Hughes, because, you know, last time we saw him, he had a mohawk. He was having a bit of a midlife crisis. Apparently his missus has taken him back. And one of her conditions was that he had to fix his hair, because she wasn't going to go out with him looking like a teenager from Drop the Dead Donkey or something. Anyway, no, we like the news. We like Edward. He keeps us informed with all the things that are going on in the world, and sometimes we need that. How about this from Hannah? Last time I was in Shepherd's Bush Empire was to watch a school friend lose on Crackerjack. Crackerjack. I think I saw Crackerjack there as well,
Brilliant.
you know.
Did you?
Yeah,
did you go?
I think I did as a kid,
Wow.
yeah. I saw Basil Brush there.
Oh,
and I saw, because
Brush.
It used to be the BBC Theatre. It's where Terry Wogan's show used to be
Was
filmed.
it really?
Yeah. And there's still a clock on the wall, you should see. And we can bring in a second clock, by the way. I don't know if we're going to maybe be able to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe we can bring the little one I've got here and just stick it on the desk.
Actually, a good idea.
You know, turn it around the other way. I don't know. I mean, who can say? Your live show will be amazing, Mike, says Jane, who I think is coming. I'm really looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. You know, International Man of Mystery is going to be there, of course, with bells on. There's a story.
Bring my bells.
We're just looking at the story on the ticker there. Cruise ship rat virus kills 3. I mean, that, for example, is when you work in newspapers, that's one of the headlines you want to write.
Yeah.
Because it's got everything. It's a cruise ship, there's a rat virus, people are dead. You know, it's unbelievable. You're going, what the hell's going on?
Fun for all the family.
Seriously. I mean, obviously it's a very serious story. But it's down in somewhere like, it's some South American cruise line, right?
It's set off from Argentina.
Yeah.
I think it's some Argentinian cruise liner.
I've got
and
the
it's
Times.
going...
The Times has got a
3
pretty
dead
good,
as rat-borne virus breaks out on cruise ship. What they needed was waffle there, mate. They sorted it out in seconds.
Yeah. Now, I saw the story in here somewhere, but now I've lost it.
Oh, yeah, here we go. It's here, mate.
Yeah, no, I know, but the mail version hasn't got the
You know what I
name of the
find
company.
fascinating about these cruise ships is that their morgues, or wherever they keep the dead bodies, are huge, apparently. Absolutely huge, because they have a lot of more senior
older
passengers
people,
that come on, and loads of them carp it when they're actually on their cruise.
Yes.
Which, to be honest, I think if I was going to, you know, kick the bucket, it's probably one of the nicer places to do it, isn't
I would
it?
think so, yeah. Why have I done... I saw this story earlier. Why has it disappeared? Anyway, you tell me what you know.
Anyway,
about it,
all I know is really that they've got this rat-borne virus, which
ocean-wide expeditions based in the Netherlands. Right, it left a place called Ushuaia in Argentina on March. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, Tierra del Fuego.
Oh, okay. Tierra del Fuego was due to arrive in Cape Verde this month after a transatlantic voyage that included a stop at St. Helena. But it's MV Hondius is the name of the ship.
Right. 6
people understood to have been affected in all. There's one British person, 69, in intensive care in Johannesburg. Yeah. It's pretty awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not good. But you hear about this actually quite a bit. Do you remember there was that during the whole COVID thing? There was a whole bunch of viruses going off on
there was one
on cruise ships.
There was a
and
ship
they
off
kept
the
them on
coast
there
of
for
Japan.
months or something, didn't they?
It was,
there's a Japan one.
He knows about. He's a font of information.
He is, isn't he?
He really is. He knows everything.
That's
about
why he
cruise
chips in.
ships.
We need him to chip in.
Well, also, we need him there for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
As we found out on Friday when he wasn't here. But we started playing music unbelievably on Friday.
Did you?
We got the Bishop on, Bishop Dewar.
Yeah.
Right? He came on and it was great. He actually started dancing. I'm going, it's not meant to be like this. But anyway, it was good fun.
I love his fundraisers. It's gone through the roof as well.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, Mike.
Well, and thanks to you for helping him out, because you had a conversation with him, didn't you, about his own security and safety and all that.
Yeah, of course. I'm a good Christian boy.
Of course you are.
I was at church yesterday.
But imagine people disliking a man of the cloth to such an extent that they loosen some of the wheel nuts on his car. I mean, what is going on with that?
I know. Scumbags.
They really are scumbags.
Yeah.
And some people
Absolute
really ought to know
scumbags
better.
who do that.
A couple of other stories in the mail.
Yeah, I've got a couple of other ones. These
are what we call in the trade a little bit less, shall we say, serious for a bank holiday weekend.
Okay, so here's a great one, not to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
Artificial nose that spots food about to go off in your fridge.
Didn't Linda Ronstadt have one of those, an artificial nose, because her real nose got caved in by too much cocaine use?
I think so. Daniela Westbrook, didn't it?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah. What's
just
happened to your deviated septum? I don't know.
It
fell
evaporated.
Out. Yeah, it literally fell into the bin.
So, being a bachelor, I would say this is probably something I would invest in,
right?
Because to be honest, I think even Hugh Scully, and for the older viewers today, they'll know who Hugh Scully is.
Yeah.
I think he would be impressed with my fridge.
I once did a show actually on Talk Sport when I was doing the overnight show.
Yeah.
And it turned into a real mine of gold for radio. To get people to go into their fridge and find out what the oldest thing in there was. Right?
I love that.
It was really funny.
I think we should do that today. Yeah.
And I remember once going.
Please send a comment in if you've got some antiques. You know,
my kids have never let me forget, and these are my two older kids. One who's now in Dubai, and the other one is in California. And they came to my house once, and in London, and they wanted some. I said, snacks, I didn't really have anything. And I went in there, went, there's some peanut butter there, and took the peanut butter out and gave them some toast with peanut butter on it. And they're going, tastes a bit funny, Dad, It turned out I was 7 years old.
What way to kill the kids?
Tasted like bleach. I tasted it, I was like, oh, that's disgusting. But,
I've done that with the odd wine bottle, which you think, hang on, I've corked it properly.
Mine's okay.
I've had a couple of rotten ones.
Well, it doesn't last long in my house.
And then depending on what kind of day it is my degree of tolerance.
Yeah, but it's things like, I've got, for example, I know for a fact that look at this. This Pooch brought me this back from France, right? This is great. Now, what we do normally on Plonk of the Week, we should taste it for Plonk of the Week, by the way, this week.
I was suggesting we should crack it now, actually, to be honest.
Chateau
it's bank
Pooch.
holiday.
No, I don't drink on Mondays anymore.
Do you not?
No, it's a rule of thumb. I don't drink on Sunday or Monday.
Okay.
Make up for it on Thursday.
Pooch and I can have some.
Pooch, thank you. Bordeaux Superior 2022. Lovely. Very nice with a tomahawk steak, I understand.
Nice bit of steak.
He made a great looking tomahawk steak at the weekend.
Oh, really?
A picture.
Nice. I had steak on the weekend.
It looked amazing.
I don't want to necessarily give him a free plug, but M&S Wagyu steak.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
10 minutes either side for a medium rare.
Yeah.
On the barbecue.
I've taken to making a very good peppercorn sauce.
Have you?
That goes with it's very easy to make.
I can make a béarnaise sauce.
Oh, there you go. These are the real good bachelor techniques.
It's the skills that a single man needs to have.
Also, women will like you for being able to make a béarnaise sauce.
Well, they've got to like me for something, Mike.
Once they get to know you, that's the end, right?
Conversation's crap.
It's like Steve Martin used to do a routine. That's Steve Martin, the comedian, who used to say, I like to get to know somebody and even fall in love with them before I use and degrade them. Which I thought, there it is, look at that. That was Pooch's weekend steak.
And beautifully done, sir.
Beautifully done, right? Was that barbecued?
No, in the oven.
In the oven?
In the oven?
Seared off on the barbecue.
Did you put anything on the top of it? Did you dress it with anything? No. Just as it comes. That looks
awesome.
Great. And how is that expensive in France or cheaper than here?
I took it from England.
Oh, did you? You're lucky you didn't get stopped by the gendarmerie. No
That's beautiful, mate.
Importation of British beef, Le Boeuf steak and all that. Yeah, but going back to what's in the fridge, I know, for example, my daughter brought me this beautiful...
You tell me a great porridge story.
I did, I'm not going to tell you that one. Not on the air, but this was one, she brought me this beautiful kind of, it's a kind of sardine paste, it's Portuguese, she was in Lisbon, and she brought me this little jar of stuff, and it's basically a paste that you put on toast, and it's really lovely.
Nice.
I tasted it. But she brought it to me the last time she was here, which was some months ago, and it's still in the fridge, because, I keep forgetting to eat it.
Probably perfect.
It might be, but then there are things where I've kept for a while, and then you take the lid off, and it's got mould on the top of it. And to me,
you just carve that off.
Well, I do that with cheese actually, because the thing is, if you do live alone, as I do, as Will does, we haven't always lived alone. But the point is, you buy stuff and you don't always eat it.
No,
because there is. My son lives with me part time, so he's sometimes there, and he'll sometimes eat it. Dallas Nash says, I've got some 17-year-old crocodile steaks in my freezer.
Well done.
That's another one, right, in the freezer. We have a tin of sardines brought by my late father-in-law from Portugal.
2013. Brilliant.
They're probably fine.
Excellent.
There's nothing wrong with... Well, if they're in a tin, they're probably preserved, right? But there's definitely things that I've got. For example... I noticed I had a bag of barley that I hadn't used for a while because I bought it probably to put in soup a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it's probably been there 3 or 4 years. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it probably is not at its best. But if you put it in
sell-by.
a vegetable soup, but parsnip sell-by is not a problem necessarily.
No, parsnip's all right, actually.
But the other thing is freezers, right? Because I'll quite often...
Oh, that's the worst. I've got an ice cream thing that some girlfriend brought over, which I think's been in there for about 4 years. I just haven't brought myself around to chucking it
Well,
yet.
maybe you've got some kind
It's
of
the
emotional
memories.
attachment.
It's
Yeah,
the
this is what she
memories.
left me, a Magnum bar.
Yeah,
but
happy memories.
But I'll often make too much food, right? So,
Yeah.
say for example, I make a chili or I make a spaghetti bolognese or something, or a shepherd's pie, and you put half of it in the freezer, and sometimes it will sit there for months. And they say you're supposed to eat things after not any longer than 3 months, otherwise
really?
they get freezer burn,
Okay.
right?
I will
But
take note.
I know for a fact there are things at the back that I probably had there for over a year.
From the 80s.
Yeah, no, but occasionally you just I used to call it freezer surprise because you can't tell what it is anymore.
I know, it's nice. It's like a lottery, isn't it?
Yeah, and so you
will
pull
I
it
live
out,
or will I die?
And you think, what is that? I've no idea. Oh, I think it might be pork or something. I'm not sure. I find it quite amusing.
Mystery meat.
Mystery meat. Yeah.
Nice. Sorry, Will.
Oh, yes. So what was my story? I
What's the
can't
story?
remember. Was
It's
I going to
about
tell
the
story?
artificial
Oh,
nose.
yeah. So it's about this
So how does that
artificial
work
nose.
then?
There we go. Let's go moving on to the next one. So, yes, what do we have here? So basically, it's this capability within the actual fridge. It's going to be built into the fridge, which will then tell you when something is off. Now, okay.
Well, how will it do that?
I don't know, Mike. I'm not a scientist.
Well, you've got to read the story.
All right. So
I mean,
it
for
uses a
heaven's sake.
sensor-enabled system fitted inside the fridge to detect something scientific fat changes in food. Okay.
But will it, I mean,
and
will
it
it have
sends an alert to basically an app to
so
tell
you
you
get an
that
app,
food is
right.
approaching its sort of
So
use
you'll
by
get
date.
even more things on your iPhone telling you.
I know.
You know.
Because I haven't got 1,000 apps already.
Beep.
Yeah.
You know, what's the problem? Your mayonnaise is off. Oh, great. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Here's one from Jess. When my nan died in 2000, there was a tin of wartime corned beef. It was the best I've ever eaten. Superb.
Brilliant.
There used to be in Basel, they used to have a little mini museum called All Our Yesterdays.
Yeah.
And you could walk in and they had things like powdered egg.
I love that.
From the Second World War and all the stuff that they used to, and ration books and all of that. I mean, amazing, isn't it? It probably detects gases as front side bus. Well, it may do.
Yeah.
But if you've got something sealed, surely
It's going to be
doesn't go.
difficult, yeah.
I mean,
wouldn't
for
have thought-
example,
if it's tinned, that's for sure.
I think what did I have recently that was mouldy? I can't
Yeah.
remember. I didn't think you guys would be working today. Brilliant, Justin. Thank you very much.
Thank
indeed.
you, Justin.
Listen, we always work bank holidays because it's better to work on a bank holiday than it is to go.
I
anywhere.
like a bank holiday. I could go home and go to bed after this.
Well, yeah, absolutely right. But this is the thing. But going back to the food thing, if you've got, say, a jar or something, or say a jar of jam, for example. I mean, I've got a jar of jam over there, which we've had for a good couple of months, right?
Yeah.
And we used to keep it in the fridge, but actually it's been out for a while. And this morning I had a croissant that Pooch bought me.
Nice.
And the jam was fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
Oh,
it.
jam's pretty good, actually.
But
you
I have
can cut the mould off the top.
Sometimes with jam, though, if it's mouldy on the top, you can still taste the mould a
Marmite's
little
good.
bit.
Marmite lasts for forever.
What about bread with mould on it? Do you eat that?
Again, depending on how hungry I
just
am.
cut the-
I've
crust
eaten
off
worse in worse places.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
What is the worst thing you've ever eaten?
Worst thing
Careful
I've
how you
ever
answer
eaten.
that.
I've eaten all sorts of stuff. Goat's
I mean, you've
eyes.
been in weird countries.
I have been in a lot of weird country.
They like a goat's head, don't they, in
Goat's
Algeria?
heads, yeah, that is not very tasty.
I used to know an
look at.
Algerian guy who was always inviting me around to his house. He lived in
Yeah.
a Swiss cottage in North London. And he's like, I cook you head lamb. I'm like, it doesn't sound like I really want any of that. But there was a lamb's head. Was what
I've
they
already
cooked.
eaten, thank you.
I used to get a lamb's head from the local butcher
Nice.
in North London and cook
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He
I'm
was
not
a
an
great
offal
guy.
fan, not a big fan of offal.
That's a good one from Martin. I once found a Japanese soldier in my fridge that didn't know the war was over. Yeah, very good. Let's see what you did there.
When many a time, mate. Sometimes in jest. I remember
Mostly by women.
I remember when I was overseas with a team of mine, and so I think we were in South Africa, and we because you could literally buy tasers from a shop down there, and so we bought one, and we went, I wonder what this does. Well, we knew what it did, but I think we'd had a couple of beers at the time, so we just ended up tasering each other.
What was that show? Do you remember that
S's and
show,
G's.
Jackass?
Yeah.
They used to do
Yeah,
that.
we were very
They
similar
used to
to
do
that.
that.
Yeah, just
do you remember,
stupid.
do you remember that show?
Yeah.
They did some terrible things. I remember once I had one of my kids for the weekend, and I was like, we were sort of trying to find something on, and he was only about 9 or 10 or something. And I said, oh, well, watch Jacko's quite. They've been doing some really horrible things, which was definitely not for a 9-year-old. And I was sitting there watching it going, crikey, I better put this off.
Kid was probably loving it.
He loved it, yeah.
Yeah,
He went
of course
home.
he did.
I said, don't tell your mother that you saw that, which he didn't until some years later. Anyway, there's some great things coming in. Honey lasts forever. Yeah, the problem with honey, though, is it gets hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you should keep honey, but
I
find that...
do you keep it in the fridge?
I keep it in the cupboard.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think if you put it in the fridge, it gets harder quicker.
It's like the argument about eggs.
But
Should you keep eggs in the fridge or not?
Yeah, I mean, I do, generally speaking.
Yeah.
As long as there's space.
Yeah.
But honey, I keep it in the cupboard if it's runny honey.
Right.
But if you keep it for too long, it gets too hard and it's not runny anymore.
Oh, really?
And you literally have to cut the honey out of the,
Cut
the knife.
Cut a slice off.
Yes, you do.
Of a slice of honey.
And it sort of crystallises as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know it crystallises, yeah.
So that's no good.
I thought that was part of the honeycomb.
What about lettuce that's gone a bit black? Do you eat that?
No chance.
No?
No, that goes in the bin.
See, I'll tend to
I like a black banana, though.
Yeah?
I'll eat a black banana.
This is not the conversation.
This is going all wrong.
This is not the conversation I thought I'd be having.
It was it's so highbrow when Emma's here. Sadly,
Yeah.
I've brought it down to my level,
Yeah.
Mike.
Malcolm's here.
How about this? How about a freezer that was in an extension that was bricked up in 1965, left switched on and full of food? The extension was opened up last year somewhere around Salisbury. I don't know.
Wow.
I think there's a lot of nonsense talks about food. I think you can keep a lot of food a lot longer than they say you can.
You know what I'm confused
and
by,
I think
Mike?
the human body is capable of digesting a lot more sort of, shall we say, stuff that's meant to have gone off.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when they actually put on the labelling sell by and use by.
Yeah.
I like that. When it's sell by, then that means probably I got a week or two. If it's a use by, maybe a couple of days.
Apparently, I got the name wrong of that place. It wasn't All Our Yesterdays, it was Yesterday's World, sorry. Well, similar kind of thing. Anyway, let's go and talk to our first proper guest on the show. I don't mean you're not a proper guest, but you're sitting here doing the papers. You can hang around, please do.
No, I'd love to.
But we've got Lord Malcolm Offford here from Reform in Scotland. Malcolm, very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Happy to be working on a bank holiday, like all decent Britons. I presume it's a bank
No
holiday.
rest of the wicked.
Exactly right. Fascinating week coming up. You guys in Scotland are forging ahead with reform and presuming you might be looking to push Labour into third place. The SNP, unbelievably, still seem to be likely to win, despite the fact that John Swinney seems to have gone a bit mad in the last few days and is now claiming victory for the Scotch whisky industry, amongst other things. How's it all been going?
Yeah, look, I think it's a fascinating moment. We're going into the last few days of this. What we're hearing from the pollsters is that 20% of Scots still have not made up their minds, which is a high number. There has been a very high, what we would call up here, a scunner factor.
Yeah.
Which is there's a lot of people out there who are just very fed up with the established parties, with the 5-year cycle of Holyrood, where the only thing that seems to happen up in Scotland is your tax goes up and your public services go down.
And you've been making hay about the fact that the SNP have kind of become even more left-wing than they were under Nicola Sturgeon when they actually were in an alliance with the Green Party, where they've got new taxes on mansions, they want to tax private jets, they want to take more money from the wealthy in Scotland and give it to presumably people who don't do anything.
Well, Nicola Sturgeon, it was Nicola Sturgeon who coined the phrase that she wanted to create something called a welfare economy, which has been very good for people who don't work, no question about it. But we've now got pushing 800,000, 750,000 adults in Scotland aged between 16 and 64 not working.
Right.
And we've got to help people back to work.
Well, we've got a ridiculous story on the front page of the Telegraph today, which is British-wide, of course, but which it says basically there are 600,000 families who are better off basically on welfare than going to work, because there's no point in them going to work. And in a way, as much as I detest, people who could work but don't, I kind of have sympathy for them, because if you're in a situation where you make more money by not working, why would you bother going to work?
Follow the money, Mike, follow the money. I would never criticize anybody, any human being, for doing what they do, because they're actually very smart. These people are smart people, and they've worked out the incentive system is set up to incentivize them not to work. Now, of course, there are a number of people who genuinely cannot work, and we will always look after people who can't do that. Genuinely, are elderly, are people who are disadvantaged, who are disabled, etc. But the best form of welfare we can give anybody is a good job, no question about it.
Yeah. And what about the whole oil and gas situation in Scotland as well? And what's Reform's position on that? Because I know that, for example, I watched with some incredulity Heidi Alexander at the weekend saying, oh, yeah, we're going to work with our oil refineries and we're going to make sure that we've got enough jet fuel to make sure that people can go on holiday. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, you've just closed a refinery down in Grangemouth and you've closed other refineries down in Wales. I'm not even sure if we've got any jet fuel refineries. What would Reform do to get all of the North Sea sort of back working again?
Well, the tide is turning on this big time up here. I mean, I did a question time a week ago or so up in Aberdeen, and I'll tell you, the crowd was hostile because there's 1,000 jobs a month being lost in Aberdeen, and these are well-paid jobs. So what we've got to do here is got to separate oil from gas. Oil, we don't refine our own oil. We send our oil overseas to refine. It goes into the international market. That is correct. But, by the way, the Treasury can make 10 billion a year out of that, which goes quite a long way to
Tell me
help
when.
the budget, and it supports a lot of high-end jobs. Gas, on the other hand, gas is just on our doorstep here in the North Sea. We're importing 70% of our gas from Norway, from the gas fields in the North Sea over the fence from the ones that we're shutting down, right? And even the Norwegian energy minister thinks that is daft. And what the public have worked out is that in the meantime, the country's covered in windmills, and there's not a single blade made in Scotland, right? So what we're going to do is get this gas back on shore, and we've got to license it so it's on the domestic market only. Give licenses so we can get the gas into the UK and we get our bills right down, because our energy prices are 4 times more expensive than the US and 7 times more expensive than China.
Yeah. And they never seem to be able to answer that question in Labour in the government at the moment, particularly when you talk to Ed Miliband. He keeps talking about how it's all set by international markets, which it isn't, right? How much longer can he get away with saying that?
Well, first of all, that's how you issue licenses. In America, 20 years ago, was a net importer, right? And today is a net exporter. Their transition fuel they used was their shale gas. Our transition fuel is North Sea gas sitting outside our shore. We bring it on for domestic use only, and we get our prices down, and then we can reindustrialise.
Yeah. And I mean, how easy is that to do given what's been happening over the past few years? To resurrect it, I guess is what I'm asking. If it's because I know when I used to talk to Peter Hitchens quite a lot about the burying of our coal industry, that the coal mines were not just closed down, they were cemented in. Some of the fracking sites as well, cemented in. So, I mean, to make it even harder for you to reopen them. Is that the case in the North Sea as well?
We're not as bad as that in the North Sea. If we talk to the operators, they think they can get the gas going within about a year, 6 months to a year. It can be done reasonably quickly. The pipelines are all in place.
Yeah.
We've lost. I mean, in terms of oil, that's more difficult because a lot of the rigs have gone, and when rigs go, they don't easily come back. But in terms of the gas, we can get that, I'm told, moving reasonably quickly.
Okay. And in terms of Thursday's, actual voting, I mean, obviously local elections take longer to count than general elections. In terms of the Scottish Parliament vote, I guess you've got 2 votes up there, haven't you? So what are you asking people to do if they want to get reform in as many places as possible? What should they be doing?
We're going for both. I mean, you've got the Lib Dems and the Conservatives who are now minority parties, no longer national parties. They're just trying to grab regional votes, which is why they talk about the peach ballot all the time. But we're in this to be a serious opposition, if not, in fact, to win this. We are putting ourselves up as an alternative to the SNP of 20 years of failure, socialism, decay and decline. You want to walk down our high streets up here, Mike.
Yeah.
I've been down them all, whether you're in Kirkcaldy, Greenock, Ayr, Kilmarnock. It's pretty shocking what's happened up here, and it needs regenerated.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I was properly in Scotland was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was staying at Turnberry actually, just to annoy people, because it's now called Trump Turnberry, and it did annoy quite a lot of people. And Girvan, which used to be a kind of thriving seaside town, and Ayr, you're right, I went to Ayr one night to get some fish and chips, and it was a bit like, you see these scenes from Philadelphia and places, not quite as bad, but, sort of, ne'er-do-well staggering around, people who don't look like they're going to do you any nice favours walking in the streets after dark, and kind of like a ghost town, really.
Yeah, I mean, local councils have lost their objective. They're meant to be there to support and help local people, local businesses. I talk to business owners, especially SMEs, business owners, and they just think wherever they go, they get hurdles put in front of them. Planning is a nightmare. Everything costs too much. Obviously, energy bills are excessive. Taxes too. It's like business prevention officers everywhere. And public officers, politicians and councillors need to understand their job is meant to be to help people improve their lives, not get in the way of their lives.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been there for a while, but my good friend Donald McLeod, who runs the garage in Glasgow, tells me Sucky Hall Street is now an absolute disaster zone for commerce because they've paved it all over. It's become a pedestrianised area. Taxis can't pick people up. You know, people just don't come into Glasgow now because of the congestion charge and all of that. And they don't seem to see that they're ruining the nightlife, at least the nightlife, but possibly the daytime life as well, of the heartbeat of the country.
Well, it's ideology, isn't it? Ideology, practicality. You know, you put a ULEZ scheme in, you then take away all parking, except which is exorbitant, right? And the next thing you know, nobody's in the town centre. I mean, guess what happens? It decays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shocking state of affairs. So is it possible for you to put a number on how successful you want to be and what your best hope is for Thursday?
Well, the pollsters have us in second place, hovering around something like 20% of the vote. I personally think we'll do better than that. But here's the thing. The way to judge this is that, as you know, there's 2 votes. There's a constituency, 73 constituencies, and then there's 56 on the list, regional list. Now, the pollsters are saying we will get, for our 20%, we'll get, say, 20 seats all through the list.
Yeah.
They're not predicting that we win any constituencies. And yet we're in a good second place in 22 constituencies, right? So the challenge for us in the next 3 days, is to get out and persuade people to vote for us in constituencies. And that's what will get our numbers up.
Okay. Well, I wish you the best. Wish you well. Lord Malcolm Offford, thank you very much indeed for talking to us, and have a great bank holiday Monday. Malcolm Offford there, leader of the Reform Party in Scotland, where the Reform Party are expecting to at least come second to the SNP, and maybe even win a few more constituencies than they've been tipped to do. We'll, of course, be here on Friday as those results come in, because I don't know how quickly the Scottish and Welsh Assembly or Welsh Senedd parliamentary votes will come in, but we'll probably have some indication on Friday of how they're doing. And we'll be checking all the way through the morning, of course, the local election results coming in from borough councils in England too. So you won't want to miss that. We'll do as well as we can on the numbers going right up to 9:30 in the morning. Coming up, we've got lots more to do. Lee Nallingham is here with some statistics for us on crime and much else besides. Before that, though, let's get some more news with Edward Hughes.
Good morning, I'm Edward Hughes. Bell and Starmer's off to Armenia to beg politely if we can chip into the EU's £78 billion Ukraine loan. It's not his bloody money. In Bristol, a house exploded suspiciously, killing a man and woman. Police say not terrorism, which is code for please don't panic, but yeah, it's dodgy. And in the ongoing vibes check, Starmer's musing about banning certain pro-Palestinian marches because the cumulative effect on communities is getting a bit stabby. 2 Jewish men attacked in London recently. Peaceful protest in it. The rest is the usual greatest hits. Tragic crashes, charges years later, and the general sense that 2026 is just 2025 with worse weather and higher bills. Oh, and by the way, the wife has taken me back. Please remember to like and subscribe. Laters, Tigers.
Thank you very much indeed. Edward Hughes there, back with his missus, looking a lot more sensible than he did last week because he's got rid of the mohawk. So well done, Edward, and well done, Mrs. Hughes. Let's face it, she's done us a great service. Fiona McLeod, I guess, will be back on Fridays, where she works every Friday now. I don't know what she does the rest of the time, but we'll see if we can find out. Right now, Lee Nallingham is here. Lee, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to see you. I can say to you that I found your information of late very, very interesting. I took part in a debate just the other day, which will be going out on another channel, which I remain nameless for the moment. But I was arguing with 2 lefties about whether Sadiq Khan had ruined London. And I was able to use your statistics as an example of how bad crime was in London, vis-a-vis the 2,250 rapes that have happened since the beginning of the year, up to March, and the number of stalking cases as well.
Ridiculous.
Plus, you put out something else that was really good, which had the listings of all of the different crimes that had gone up over the course of the last 12 months. So thank you for that.
Glad it was useful.
You've now done some more stats on crime in general, I think, not just in London,
nationally.
Yes. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so last time I was on, somebody had put in the chat how does London compare to the rest of the country? And
Yes.
honestly, I had no idea. I
Right.
focused on London. I've only been looking at London, so I decided to go and have a look. So it turns out, London is the worst in the country, unfortunately.
Well, so more bad news for Sadiq Khan.
More bad news for Sadiq Khan. So what I found, I've managed to get my hands on the official Home Office data
Okay.
for the whole of 2025
Right.
for England and Wales.
Okay.
So there were 5.24 million crimes last year,
Wow.
which works out to a crime every 6 seconds.
Hmm.
And within that, it turns out there's a murder every 17 hours in the country.
Right.
Sexual assault every 2 minutes, burglary every 2 minutes, a violence against the person crime every 14 seconds.
And these
or
are
16
presumably
seconds.
reported crimes, right?
These are just reported crimes,
Right.
and we all know there's a ton of stuff.
Well, so you would
doesn't get
probably,
reported.
what would you double that for the real figure, or maybe
At
more?
least, because when I was looking at the figures, actually nationally, did you know theft is down? Apparently shoplifting is down. No, I'm
How?
pretty... I don't buy it, do
It
you?
isn't.
Right? They are clearly just not reporting it anymore. I'm pretty sure Tesco's or Lidl or whoever have just written a blank check
Yeah.
for, look, it's gone, don't bother. Why would we
right.
bother?
Yeah.
Are we working?
Yep, that might go.
No, mic. There we go. I'm on this mic now. So
Two mics are better than one.
Two mics are better than one,
There you go.
apparently.
Always.
Thank you for the correction.
Cheers,
Sorry,
mate.
carry on.
So I mean, again, it's what the stats say. Do you buy that when you consider how little people actually report
I mean,
crime?
even from my own personal perspective, right? And I said this when I was talking. I always say it when I'm talking about going on the tube. I mean, every time I go on the tube, I see somebody nipping through the barriers, right?
Yep.
I go to Bond Street quite a lot. Quite often, they've got the wide gate, which is closed. So they put a sign there, which is, they put some tape over it, and the people just walk round it,
Yep.
and they walk out. Similarly, I've seen people just pushing their way through the barriers. So that's just my own personal, which I never used to see, right? Now I see it every time I go on the tube. Similarly, if I don't always see somebody shoplifting when I go to a shop, but for a fact from just the reported stories that people tell you, that I mean, I could meet somebody every day who's seen somebody lifting something from a shop.
Exactly that.
And
it's funny you mention the tube. So the British Transport Police in the data, crimes on transport in 2025 were up nearly 10%.
Right.
And very worryingly, harassment and stalking is up nearly 40%.
That was huge, that rise,
yeah.
particularly in London. And, you wonder why you see these signs on the underground saying, don't stare at people, don't touch people.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, who are these aimed at? Well, they're obviously aimed at people who don't think there's anything wrong with doing those things.
And
who you would have to conclude, I'm sorry to say this, are from somewhere else.
it seems that way. I mean, there's a disproportionate representation, right? It's something like, what is it? It's something like 40% of sexual assaults in London are committed by those not born here, but they make up only 25% of the population. So obviously, although that still means that 60% are being committed by those of us who are already here, disproportionate in terms of per capita.
Well, this is the thing, when people say to me, oh, well, the reason crime's up is because the population's bigger. Well, up to a point, but it's not actually, it's not measurable in terms of the increase in population because the increase is bigger in terms of crimes committed.
That's exactly it. And that's why I published this morning, and it's in my Substack article as well, I've actually put out the per capita.
Yeah.
So you can see crime the Home Office report per 1,000 people. So across England and Wales last year, there was a victim of crime 1 in 12 people.
Yeah.
So every 1 in 12 people was a victim of crime last year. And then they've broken it down by regions. I put out a nice graph somewhere on my social media, which is, so 1 in 12 is the average.
Yeah.
In London, it's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
I think it's 10.3%.
Well, I was one of them.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. And then
somebody smashed the back window of my car and didn't take anything. They took an old jacket, but there was a case of wine in there they didn't touch. And it was in an NCP car park, for which I paid the privilege of £40 to park there. And I got in the car to drive it away, and I wasn't really looking. And I thought, that's a weird sound. What's going on with that? And it was kind of in a kind of type sound. And I looked behind me, and I was like, Christ, somebody smashed the back window.
Wow.
And a whole case of wine, wasn't particularly expensive wine, but it was, wine. Didn't take it, and they took an old ski jacket that was literally I bought in about 1987, which I used to keep in the back of the car in case it was cold when I was walking the dog. And that was all they took. And I thought to myself, they can't surely have broken the back window of a Maserati just to get that. Because they couldn't see it.
someone teetotal who's very cold, apparently.
Apparently so, yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't want to make assertions. But of course, what you don't see there, right, is I had to pay, obviously, for the auto glass people to fix it. But it's now got the problem of, as I am about to return the car, whenever you open the tailgate, you can hear glass because they couldn't get it all out, right? So I don't know how much I'm going to have to pay back to the manufacturer to give them the car back so that they can, in fact I do, because I've said when you service it next, can you have a look at this? That's another 200 quid. So the cost of crime is something which you can't measure, and I can't get that on insurance, No,
very, very true. And it's not just London either now. So London, 10.3% of the population victims of crime. You have the north of England is almost as bad as London. So northeast, northwest, and I think it's Yorkshire and Humber, the Home Office break it into. Essentially everything up north.
Right.
Is between 1 in 11 and 1 in 10 as well.
Exactly.
You've got the Midlands and Wales that are around the average. So East and West Midlands and Wales are 1 in 12-ish. And then the lovely home counties in the southwest of England are all very, very safe, and there's like 1 in 15.
Okay. Well, having said that, though, underneath your tweet, actually, I was just looking at some of the comments. Orla Minahan, who we know from getting on this show, she lives, I believe, in Essex. And she says, 2 houses on my road had a burglary last night.
I believe
it's out of control, And everybody takes the same view as us, which is that, this is the tip of the iceberg because so many people just don't bother reporting the crime. Some people report a burglary and get just to get a police number. I think I told you the story before of when I had my phone stolen. I tried to report it to the police, but I don't think it ever went through properly because they told me I had to report it online, and I never got any acknowledgement from them that there was a crime number because I didn't need one. Because if you get if you've got phone insurance, which most people have, you just get a new phone. Or if you're Morgan McSweeney, you dial 999 and tell the police, and even then you don't get a crime. In fact, nobody's asked him if he got a crime number. I wonder if he's got a crime number.
That seems like a good freedom of information request.
That is a good freedom of information request. You know what's another good freedom of information request is to ask the Metropolitan Police, who said they were going to obtain the CCTV footage of the moment at which his phone was stolen in the street in which he reported it stolen, and as yet we haven't seen that. I don't know whether that's because it doesn't exist. They'll probably say, it's been erased, it's not kept for long enough, or so, But what they haven't got is proof that it was actually stolen.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually,
So I mean,
back on that story, that's a very good point.
It's a very good point. In your Substack article, you break down all of the different types of crime because this is what you would call serious crime, isn't it?
Serious crime.
It's not what you would call nuisance crime or what some people call low-level crime.
And that's what's really worrying because even if you take the figures at face value, which means I think nationally in terms of total crime, because things like theft are coming down allegedly, overall crime looks like it's come down a little bit. But when you look in the figures, and I'm going to do deep dives in each of these on the Substack over the coming week, sexual offences are still up, violence against the person up, drug crime up. So all the crimes you don't want to be up are the ones that are up.
Well, the only crime that Sadiq Khan claims to be down actually is homicide, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the one he says is down. And it's only really down because 6 or 7 fewer people got murdered.
Basically.
Which is not really much of a stat.
And that's not really because of anything other than they're getting better at saving people after they've got stabbed rather than there being less stabbing. Which again is, well, I'm very happy that they
obviously
better
anything
at that, but they've had a lot of practice, unfortunately.
Anything going down is good, but what I'm saying is it's kind of entirely, it's not a trend by any means. It's
not a
give
trend.
or take the margin of error, isn't it?
It's not a trend.
Looking at your theft and property crime breakdown, how often thefts occur, theft offences every 19 seconds, shoplifting every minute. So if they're saying it's down, what was it before? I mean, it's happening every minute. Vehicle offences every 1 minute 40 seconds. Other theft offences every 1 minute 15 seconds. Burglary every 2 minutes. Theft from the person every 4 minutes. Robbery every 6 minutes. I mean, it's hard to believe that somebody somewhere doesn't sit there and go, maybe if we put some more police on the street, there wouldn't be quite so much of this, what is obviously opportunistic type crime, right?
Well, that would be common sense, Mike. We don't do that anymore, do we? So it's, I think I said this last time I was on, but in Barcelona, they reduced crime rapidly by having a crazy idea of flooding an area with lots of policemen, throwing everyone up against the wall, searching them, and taking loads of people off of the streets. And they target hotspots around tube stations or the equivalent of the West End. And then they realised there was an 85% reduction in crime because, one, they took people off of the streets, and two, other people went, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. It is extraordinary, isn't it? The police are now able to, when they're asked to, go and patrol Golders Green and put more police on the streets to deal with the anti-Semitism problem up there. But they can't seem to actually get to doing anything else in any other danger areas of London.
There is. And look, I've got a huge amount of respect for the police. Very, very brave this past week as well. But there also has to be a question to be asked, because there are 35,000 Metropolitan Police officers and there are 70,000 crimes a month in London, which means that every police officer has to deal with 2 crimes.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a lot of work to me.
It doesn't.
Right? Now, I know they've
And
got to
what
do
else
other
are they
things.
doing? I mean, I know that they've got paperwork and they've got kind of, DEI conferences to go and sit in on to make sure that they're treating everybody the same. Not.
Yep.
But what are they doing?
Well, that's exactly it. And then they also average 2 stop and searches per each police officer every 6 months.
Yeah.
Which means each police officer is stopping and searching 4 people a year.
Yeah.
Which again, I appreciate
many,
they might
is
have
it?
a lot of paperwork,
Yeah.
but how much paperwork do they have?
Yes. And how about they reduce the amount of paperwork? And maybe that would make more of them available to go outside. I saw that question. How do you do a freedom of information request?
So
how easy is that?
Very, very simple, actually. So if you want to go to your local council or your local, any public institution, if you just go onto their website, there will actually be a freedom of information request section.
Okay.
So all you need to do is fill out a form online, ask them what you want, and within 20 working days, they're supposed to respond to you. You should also be able to, just with a bit of a Google search, find an email address if you'd prefer to do it via email rather than give them all your personal address and that kind of stuff. But it's really easy to do. What you have to be careful of is most of the public sector try to hide behind 2 exclusions. So one is that they will say, you've asked for too much, it's too much work, we can't do that. When I asked them for their budgets for the last 5 years, apparently that would take them more than 100 hours. They can't do that. It's got to be under 18 hours of effort.
Yes. We used to find this in Scotland a lot when I was working up there, that every time you'd put anything into the Scottish Parliament, they would use exactly that excuse and say, oh no, we don't have resources for that.
Yeah.
You'll have to narrow your search down or something like
so
that.
That's what I've been doing, getting really good at, is just really narrowing it down into a single figure they can't hide from.
Right.
So you've got to be careful of that. And the other thing you've got to be mindful of is that they will use the argument that the information is already in the public domain.
Right.
Because they published a chart
You just
in
have
like
to go through
2017,
78,000 pages of it.
and but the thing is, it has to. I push back a lot, and to be fair, the ICO have been really good at helping me get pushback to the councils. It has to be reasonably accessible. So, for example, the councils were telling me, "Hey, it's all online. There's like 30 Excels with 20,000's worth of lines of data each.
Right.
You can go through all of those yourself and figure it out." It's like, guys, that's just not reasonable.
No.
And so if you push back and you do an internal review, which is just when they email you and say that, you just email them back and say, I want an internal review, there's no way.
Yeah.
As long as your request is reasonable, they will then be able to bring it, provide the information. And I just had Ealing Council that have refused to answer any of my FOIs, just come back and cave and give me some data on. I think it's only 52% of people in Ealing now pay their council tax.
Okay.
So
I mean,
you will win. It
would
just
you
takes some
worry
time.
though if a lot of people started putting in freedom of information requests that they would then claim another problem that we've got too many requests?
We've got too many. They're starting to lean towards that argument.
Yeah.
But they have to have, as long as you are an individual and your request is reasonable, then it's fine. If you were to pull in 25 requests today, they would reject them and just say, look, you're taking the mick. There's no way that you can do that. Although having said that, yesterday I did send out another one to the councils in London about housing. So I'm going to get some housing data. And I found out I got an out of office from Lewisham.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was just, where were you? Your request is being looked at. It turns out the email back to me is, you don't have permission to to send requests to this email address. It looks like they've turned off my access. So after this, I'm gonna head home and I'm gonna test another email address.
Because they don't like scrutiny, really, do they? Bottom line.
They don't like scrutiny. I've seen even Tony Blair said that's one of the worst things he ever did was to make the FOIs available.
Yeah.
And they don't like the fact they can't control the narrative. So even when they're providing responses to me, so I did a post yesterday, for example. Hackney have spent £500,000 last year on providing English lessons to people in hotels.
Right.
Who've arrived illegally and
How
so
much?
on. £500,000 total spent on English language lessons for those in the hotels and integration activities. don't know what that means.
Integration activities, I can imagine.
$250,000 was on private rental for them. It's a nice private accommodation. 90 grand on some community kitchens and so on.
Nice.
But even when they send the response to me, and I framed it in a way where I'm like, I don't need excuses. I don't want to know why. Just give me the number.
Yeah.
They then do try to slip in the narrative. Well, you see, this is statutory and that is a requirement from here and this is... It's like, yeah, no, look, I understand all of that.
The amount of waste in the public sector is so extraordinary to me. And I was watching all of the responses last week to the whole Golders Green episode and the terrorist attack. And all they seem to know how to do, government, is to go... We've dedicated some more money to it.
Yes.
You know, like Starmer immediately had a Cobra meeting, which is what he does whenever he doesn't know what to do. Has a Cobra meeting, and then they come out of the Cobra meeting and say, we have dedicated £57 million to a re-education programme. No, that's not what you need to do. What you need to do is make sure that the people coming into this country are not anti-Semites who want to kill Jewish people, which unfortunately they don't seem to be able to stop. And also maybe you stop people marching around singing from the river to the sea and, you know, death to Jews. And maybe that might help. That might help, you know. But what's the point of saying here's 57 million quid? To do what with? To give to a local council to talk about integration or something.
And that's what I've noticed now about not just this government, but political parties across the board, when they're running councils, when they're running whatever, if they just say a number, and it's lost all meaning to the public. You know, the average person, the average salary in the UK is 35,000 a year. So talking about millions and millions, it's completely unrelatable. And it's the exact question, well, for what now?
Yeah, exactly.
You keep giving more and more
on?
of my money. What am I getting?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting. It doesn't seem like a use of money. And as I keep on seeming to expose every week now, there's something else. In fact, I've got one for you I haven't published yet. I'll give you an exclusive.
Okay.
I found a contractor yesterday. The Foreign Office has signed off £2 billion to refurbish the High Commissioner's office in Canada.
Oh, great.
£2
billion quid.
So I'll be
and again, you know there'll be some guy
today,
rubbing his hands in Ottawa going, you know, I've got the British government on the hook. How much for the wallpaper? Oh, that'll be £3,000
$2 billion. I had to double take. I thought it was 2 million. And I thought, well, okay, do I post that? And then I realised there were 3 more zeros on the end.
Yeah.
No. 2 billion. I'll post the contract out later today on my social media. But
That's extraordinary, isn't it? Just ridiculous. Well, Lee, you're doing a great service to the country and to our viewers. So thank you very much indeed for coming in again.
Always a pleasure.
Leland Allingham there. Tell people how to find your Substack.
So just find me on social media. There is a link in my profile. And as I say, I'm deep diving this stuff, posting it out regularly. Not just crime. Last weekend, I revealed that Havering Council have a £183 million black hole in their budgets as well. And their auditors can't sign off any of their accounts because they can't prove that they add up. They can't provide any evidence.
Yeah. Sounds a bit like the EU.
Sounds a bit like the EU.
And you've seen that story in the Times today where apparently the British government, in the guise of Keir Starmer, have been told, not asked, told by the European Union, if you want to have closer ties to us, you have to give us £1 billion a year.
Yeah, and again, they've never passed an audit. They've never passed an audit. No one knows where the money
in their
goes.
entire existence, right?
No, never.
It's never been done. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. It is quite remarkable. We're going to be talking to Anne Widdecombe coming up a little while. I think we should get Will Geddes back, though, don't you? Yeah. Thanks very much indeed, Lee, for coming in. We'll get Will Geddes back in a moment. But before we do that, let's have another a clip, shall we, from what was going on yesterday with Zach Polanski. Zach Polanski talking to Laura Kunsberg here, giving a slightly longer version of why he's a plank.
He takes anti-Semitism seriously enough.
Yes, as I've said, it's not an abstract idea for me. Jewish safety and making sure we tackle anti-Semitism is incredibly important. Now, I'm not saying that we've got it right. I don't think any party has, because anti-Semitism exists in society, as does Islamophobia and many forms of racism. And it's important that every political party is always working to bring more training and better vetting.
There are repeated incidents, though, of Green Party candidates running for election right now who have expressed anti-Semitic views. 2 of them have even been arrested. So if someone has written online that Israel was to blame for the Bondi Beach attack where Jews were killed in Australia, are they fit to take office?
I think that's an unacceptable comment. It's important that I don't comment on individual disciplinary processes, but I understand you're not asking me about that.
I'm not asking about individual cases. Is somebody who expresses that, or somebody who says that Jews are cockroaches, or somebody who shares claims saying that Jews are commanded by the Old Testament to kill children, are people who express those kinds of views, are they fit for office? Should they be running as candidates in your party?
No, absolutely not. And as a Jewish person, those comments disgust me. It's important that we let the disciplinary process take its place, and that's exactly what we have.
Why are there people then on the ballot for the Green Party who have expressed those sorts of views if you say they shouldn't be running for office?
Well, as you know, when people are on the ballot paper from nomination day, it's impossible to draw them.
But
just
some of
because
these concerns were flagged before that. You're right, sometimes parties find out about things after the event, but some of these things were flagged before the ballot papers were printed. Some of these candidates are still running as part of the Green Party with people campaigning for them around the country.
I don't know about those individual cases in terms of that being flagged, but let me answer more widely. I think we clearly do need to have a better vetting process, and that's something I've taken away from this election.
So do you have a problem with anti-Semitism in your party?
I think there's a problem with anti-Semitism in society. We have 4,500 candidates. We have a handful of cases where anti-Semitism has been accused. One case is one case too many. But I don't want to do whataboutery, but you have Nigel Farage, who has 20 people saying as a child he made some pretty anti-Semitic.
You
and
say
he's
you
evaded
don't want to
scrutiny
do
today.
whataboutery, and then you mention another political leader. And of course, we will talk to all the political parties about these issues, and we have talked to Reform about it on other occasions. But do you believe that you have a particular problem with anti-Semitism in your party?
No, I don't believe we have a particular problem compared to wider society and other political parties.
In terms of...
I must say, I'm getting a bit sick of seeing Zach Polanski interviewed. We're not even going to bother him. He wouldn't come on this show. I mean, he says he's willing to talk to people that disagree with him, but he singled out The Sun and GB News as people that he disagreed with that he wouldn't talk to. So I don't imagine he's going to want to come talk to us, do you? Pooch, thank you very much indeed. Pooch is going to put a poll out in a minute, by the way. Not sure what it's going to be about, but we'll tell you when it's out, because a lot of you are moaning that we didn't do one. It's partly because it's Monday, and Bank Holiday Monday, we've got special dispensation for being dim-witted, because we've forgotten what we're doing. We forget. And we got very excited chatting to Will, and Will's back. A couple of other stories to talk to you about, Will. One, probably a bit close to your heart, because you know...
this is kind of sad. This is really sad. So the end of April, there was a first lieutenant who served in Afghanistan, distinguished military operator who was in special ops, who was killed in a pub car park. And there are 4 currently being held and investigated. But again, it just shows the fragility of life that you can be in a war zone. And I remember there was, I was telling you this story very brief. I'll keep it brief. I remember when I was in Baghdad in around 2003, just after the liberation. And there was a lovely guy I met there. Actually, no, it must have been about 2004. Because he'd been down there already for about a year. And he'd been flying little birds, you know, the little helicopters, doing reconnaissance, and been shot at numerous times, and RPGs sent at him. And we had a spot at dinner, and he was about to go on leave after having been there for a year, solidly, getting shot at and everything else. And then literally did the drive from the MSR Tampa, the main supply route Tampa, from Baghdad down to Kuwait, which was where everybody was generally exiting and entering from. Got into Kuwait, driving to the airport, and got killed in a road traffic accident with a young Kuwaiti. Again, it just shows the fragility of the fact that this poor guy, you know, this chap here, he obviously got into a scrap with some locals, and it didn't end up well, and yet he'd managed to dodge so many bullets when he was actually serving.
I know.
It's really sad.
It is really sad, because it is this, I mean, you don't want to be too trite about it, but it's the fragility of life, isn't it? And I mean, some of the things that happen in war zones happen because of the fact that just everyday life is dangerous. It's not just if you're in the line of fire. You know, driving around is dangerous because, you know, the road systems are not great. And, you know, I remember... we'd have that all the time. I mean, if you ever knew Rupert Hamer, who was the guy who was killed in Afghanistan, he was a Daily Mirror journalist, good friend of mine, actually. And he went on a mission with the British Army, and he was in a Land Rover in a convoy, hit an IED. He was killed outright. His photographer, who was a guy called Conroy, I think. He lost his leg.
Actually, I got involved in a similar one in Syria. Actually, with Mary Colvin, who was
Mary Colvin, who was eventually killed.
I could tell you a story about that
Syrians.
one. They were in a media centre, and I've met quite a few war correspondents and journalists and photographers.
They're amazing people.
They are amazing. They're a bit mad, to be honest, but a bit like the rest of us, to be honest.
No, you have to be. I mean, I remember in Bosnia.
But at least we were armed.
I met Martin Bell when he was still working for the BBC. And he'd already had, you know, one of his...
Martin's a really nice guy.
Really lovely guy.
Nice guy.
And he said, you know, I really struggle when I go back to London, because he said, I've seen some terrible things, either in Bosnia or wherever he'd been, in Serbia or in Africa and various other war zones around the world. And he said, I go back to my house and I've got a council tax bill and I'm looking at it going, and I've got, a gas bill and I'm living in North London and there's a nice restaurant and I'm sitting there, but, I just want to be back here.
Yeah.
Because they get a bit addicted to it.
And also you get you have this decompression. So when you come back from somewhere where you're just being hyper vigilant all the time, you literally are just looking for problems.
Yeah.
So when you're driving, and I used to drive, my operations were running out of Basra, and we used to do the 7-hour drive up to Baghdad, and the road, the MSR Tampa, which is like the sort of M1, is the main arterial road which divides the country. And you'd literally be watching for cars alongside for bandits or Alibaba, as we used to call them.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly looking
try
like
and
this.
just pull you over?
Yeah, try and hijack you and kill you all and take your weapons and stuff. And I remember there was, I'd come back, and again, you'd be hyper vigilant all the time. So whoever my partner was at the time, they'd sort of like, why are you looking around all the time? And I'm like, I can't help it. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. And I remember there was
bandits at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember there was one time I was doing some media. I got called by when ITN had the news channel, and I was going to go on with Angela Rippon.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
She
was so funny.
Yeah.
And I was driving up, and it was a Sunday morning, and it was dead early, and there was nobody about. And I had an old 911 back in those days, and I did that underpass at Hyde Park Corner.
Oh, yeah.
Which you obviously have to open up the engine there because it sounds great.
Yeah.
So I came out the other side into Piccadilly, and I must have been going a little quick because on the other side were the old Bill with the speed camera, and then literally they go, pull me over. So I pulled over, and they said, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And I went, I know I was going too fast, officer.
Yeah.
And always put your hands up if you get pulled by the old Bill. And they said, well, let's put it this way. The nose of your 911 was digging into the tarmac when you saw us. And I went, oh, okay. And I said, I'm so sorry. I've just come back from Iraq, so I'm a little bit sort of fragile right now. And they were really sweet. And they went, you can go.
That's
you can
good.
Go. Just let me go.
Good. That's a nice story to hear.
Really nice, yeah. No, I mean, I think if you're honest with the police, and you're compliant, then they're going to treat you well. It's only if you get out of your car and you start acting
I've said
up,
that to various children of mine, if you get into anything like trouble with any members of the police, wherever you are, just don't give them any lip.
No.
Just,
There's an old adage in my world, which is always smile at the man with the gun.
Don't make it, don't make it any easier for them to do something terrible. One final story, which will be slightly more on the lighter side. It's in the Sun as well, if you go back a couple of pages.
Okay.
And it's about Gen Z, who, of course, we are... you haven't got any kids, but I have.
I don't have any kids, no. Just
but
ex-wives.
According to... There we are.
Here we go, Gen Z.
No sex, please, we're Gen Z.
And still living with parents.
Yeah. Because so many of them don't have a place of their own. Yeah. So many of them, therefore, don't have anywhere to get. Although, to be fair, they must be lacking in imagination because, I lived with my parents until I was 18. It stopped me.
Mate,
anyway.
I got kicked out at 17, but didn't stop me being a scoundrel.
But you do worry about... a lot of them are not drinking. A lot of them are not having sex. I don't know what they're doing to have...
I know. What are they doing with their days?
Exactly.
You've got to have hobbies, haven't you?
Or their evenings, even. Whether they've got enough money to go out, I don't know. What's it all about?
I don't know, Mike. I understand the living with parents thing, because, to be honest, I think it's tough for any kid to get on the housing ladder these days. It's just prohibitively expensive.
But, I do also think this narrative about, it was a lot easier when you were younger. It wasn't actually, because, it was still... my first job, I remember my first proper job. Yeah. My salary was £6,000 a year, and that was in the early 80s.
You were a king, living like a king on that.
£6,000 a year. It was less money than I was making when I worked in the bakery, which was not taxed. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. It was a sort of cash-in-hand job, But, if I'd wanted to buy a house in those days, when I was about 21, 22... I wouldn't have been able to, because I wouldn't have had it. I think it was you would have had to have at least 30 or 40,000 to buy.
Put down.
Just to buy. No, the house probably you could get for 40,000. But that was more than 5 or 6 times my salary.
Of course.
And in those days you couldn't get a mortgage unless you had a salary.
Oh my God! And you had to have a long history and a long credit history.
And I didn't have a credit rating for years because I didn't have a credit card. All of that.
No, it's the same.
This myth that it was a lot easier for you. Yes, I know it's expensive in some parts of Britain, particularly in London, but it's not everywhere. If you go up to the northeast, for example, you can still buy relatively cheap housing. If you've got a job that pays you the average salary, which is 35 grand, you can certainly buy something for that. So it's not as black and white as what I'm saying.
I think also Gen Z are being mollycoddled a little too much as well. I think just generally, and I think with us Gen Xers, and I'm going to sound really old by saying this, but actually I saw in the comments someone said we sound like Hinge and Bracket.
Yeah, we also look like. Well, I don't look like.
Well, I probably do. Which one's which? But we got kicked out of home. I think our parents were a little bit more savage about. You get out the door. I mean,
go and
talk
make some
about things
money.
like new paper rounds. I mean, you probably did a paper round. I
didn't actually do a paper round, but I worked in this bakery place since I was 14.
Yeah.
As soon as I was 14, I got a job.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
Yeah. Well, I got kicked out of home, and my first job was double glazing salesman.
Yes, I think you've told me this.
I was brilliant at that.
Yeah. I can imagine. Absolutely brilliant. Well, listen, good to see you.
You too,
Will,
mate.
thank you very much indeed for coming in.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Making our bank holiday much more cheery and much more well-informed than it would have been otherwise.
Hopefully, I won't be wearing these on Wednesday, mate, at the show.
Yeah.
The mince pies hopefully will be repaired by then.
They will. Or we can just get you some good concealer to cover up whatever it is. But they don't look bad, actually.
Oh.
I think the glasses are a good touch.
Well, thank you, sir. I think sunglasses indoors are a little dodgy, though.
Yeah, you start looking like Bono. Start coming out.
I could tell you a story about him.
Well, save it for the show. Save it for the live show. we will be recording it, actually. We'll see Will Geddes on Wednesday night. If you haven't got a ticket, go and get one, because it's going to be a great night and you don't want to be missing. You don't want to be one of those people that goes, I wish I'd gone to that. Because, we will be doing other shows, but this is the first proper show. Mike Graham and Friends. It's going to be brilliant. Shepherd's Bush Empire, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, the doors open. And you'll have a whale of a time.
Where can they get the tickets, mate?
They can get tickets at Ticketmaster. We will put out a link again later on today. But just go on Ticketmaster, put in the Shepherd's, or even if you Google Shepherd's Bush Empire and you look up the upcoming events, it's Mike Graham and Friends, Wednesday night. 2 more sleeps, and we'll be there, okay? Coming up, we're going to speak to Anne Widdecombe. Before that, though, some news with Edward Hughes.
Morning, I'm Edward Hughes. Bell and Starmer's off to Armenia to beg politely if we can chip into the EU's £78 billion Ukraine loan. It's not his bloody money. In Bristol, a house exploded suspiciously, killing a man and woman. Police say not terrorism, which is code for please don't panic, but yeah, it's dodgy. And in the ongoing vibes check, Starmer's musing about banning certain pro-Palestinian marches because the cumulative effect on communities is getting a bit stabby. 2 Jewish men attacked in London recently. Peaceful protest in it. The rest is the usual greatest hits. Tragic crashes, charges years later, and the general sense that 2026 is just 2025 with worse weather and higher bills. Oh, and by the way, the wife has taken me back. Please remember to like and subscribe. Later.
Now, only 2 sorts of people oppose free speech, and they are at opposite ends of the scale. Snowflakes and totalitarians. I am offended, upset, insulted at least 30 times a day. Tough. It is not necessary to flash your knickers to do a decent ballroom dance. Free speech is for all, not for the privileged few. Nobody has the right to live their lives being protected from offence or from insult or from hurt feelings. And if you really can't take it, become a hermit.
Welcome back. This is, of course, the Mike Graham Show. It's 8:39. We're about to speak to Anne Widdecombe, obviously, but we've got a poll out, finally. We apologise for not getting it out earlier, but we just didn't get around to it. The poll is this. What's the best drink for a bank holiday lunchtime? Is it 1, champagne? Is it 2, beer? Is it 3, Chateau Pooch, which I've got here, brought back for me by Pooch from his beautiful idyllic hideaway in Bordeaux? Or, sorry, I should say Normandy, shouldn't I? And of course, tea would be the other one. I don't know which Anne Widdecombe would choose for a bank holiday Monday, but a very good morning to you, Anne. Nice to see you.
Good morning to you, yeah.
Yeah, so what would it be, tea or champagne on a bank holiday Monday?
Oh, champagne, for heaven's sake.
Champagne, top choice. Well played. Very good to see you. We're getting down to the wire. Thursday, we were speaking to Malcolm Offford up in Scotland. He was saying that Reform, hopefully up there, are looking to do a bit better than just win a few of the secondary votes and get a sort of regional presence, but they're hoping to win a few constituencies as well. It seemed, Nigel Farage said at the weekend, unless he's deluded, Reform are going to do very, very well indeed. What's your sort of thinking on it?
My sense is that yes, reform is going to do well. The public is thoroughly fed up with both the main parties, both the Tories and Labour. Yes, sadly, I think the Greens will also punch above their weight.
Yeah.
But I think that gradually, as people come to understand exactly what they stand for, their popularity will decline. But I think they'll do reasonably well on Thursday. I think Reform will do very much better.
Yes. I mean, I wonder if that whole green revolution thing has begun already to shatter slightly. Zach Polanski blundered, I'd say quite heavily last week when he criticised the police for the way that they treated the alleged terrorist in that case. And also his explanation of what he said since then has not been helpful. He's basically not apologised for saying it. He just said he shouldn't have said it on social media. And now he wants to have a conversation with the police. And there's no doubt, is there, that despite the fact that he claims to know what it's like to feel anti-Semitic abuse because he's Jewish, there is definitely a sense that the Green Party has within it an awful lot of people who are not very, shall we say, friendly to the Jewish community.
Oh, I mean, I think that's quite obvious, and there's an enormous pro-Palestinian element there. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that because you're pro-Palestine that you're anti-Semitic, but the two do sometimes coincide, and there is that enormous element in the Greens. So I think that I don't think he even realises that it is a problem, but I think nevertheless that he's got a problem, which is that when his policies and when his pronouncements see the light of day, people are really rather repulsed by them. Now, they'll do anything, midterm, in local elections, whatever it may be. People will do anything to register a protest. And if you're Labour and you've been Labour all your life, you probably aren't going to go Tory or Reform. So you look around and you say, oh, the Greens will do. But come a general election when the policies are under real scrutiny, and I don't think they'll stand a chance.
Well, people say that Reform haven't got that many policies that they can pinpoint in terms of, which I disagree with, by the way, but it's one of the accusations made about Reform. Well, they've only really got one policy that's about immigration. I mean, you and I know that's not true. However, I mean, the Greens literally have no policies apart from the mad ones, like making all drugs legal, doing away with landlords effectively, taxing billionaires, which will then become taxing millionaires, which will then become taxing people that make over 60,000 a year. It's just one thing after another of unworkable, crazy, left-wing Marxist policies.
Marxist is the right word for it. I mean, I actually said on the Jeremy Vine programme to Zach Polanski on one occasion, I said that is, referring to a particular policy, I said that is communist. You've got to face the fact these are extreme lefties. They're not just the old tree huggers that the Greens used to be. They're really extreme lefties, and I think they're exceedingly dangerous. But as I say, in midterm elections, local elections, by-elections, people will take risks that they won't take in the general election. But just let me come back to something you said. You said Reform are perceived as having no policies beyond immigration. May I refer you to my excellent Substack?
Of course.
Yes, and last week I actually listed, though it's under the paid section, but I listed a whole load of Reform policies with a promise that I would do more in future weeks. Because in fact, it's not yet a comprehensive range of policies, but we've got a very large range of policies. People hear us on immigration. Perhaps they don't hear us so much on the other things. And therefore, the answer to that is we've got to talk a lot more about some of the other things.
Yes, I think so. But also, I think there is a bit of prejudice out there about Reform, which exists in all manner of different, sort of rather sometimes subtle ways. I mean, I'll see occasional Facebook posts from people who say, if you're voting Reform, just unfriend me because I don't want to talk to you about anything. And there's this kind of slightly irrational view of Reform, which is that it's, full of horrible people with ghastly intent who don't like anybody from any other country, which is entirely untrue. So, and I'm not going to sit here and be completely uncritical, as you say. Maybe Reform needs to be better at getting their message out there. But the machine that is Reform, I think, has become a pretty efficient machine in terms of canvassing, in terms of campaigning, hasn't it?
Oh, it has, and in record time. I mean, in record time, Where were we 2 years ago? Where were we 3 years ago? Hardly anywhere.
Yeah.
And in record time, I mean, we've managed to get ourselves to the top of the polls and to stay there for something like 275 polls, to actually maintain the lead throughout that time. We've won a by-election. We win local elections, and we've come from nothing. So, it isn't going to be an all singing, all dancing set up from day one. It never is, but by gum, we've moved quickly.
Yes, indeed. And the other big question for the week of politics, I guess, is how bad is it going to be for the Tories? How bad is it going to be for Labour? It certainly looks as though Keir Starmer's time is up. I mean, he's gone to Armenia for some reason this week. Nobody's quite sure why. Maybe it's because nobody's ever heard of him there, so he won't get booed like he does when he goes anywhere in Britain. But, people are calling it an existential event for the Labour Party. He probably doesn't survive it. The question is whether Labour really survives it, and the Tories perhaps in the same boat.
Yes, I think both the major parties will do badly in the local elections and in the Welsh and Scottish elections. I think they will do badly. I think that Labour will suffer far more than the Tories. And I think although Kemi Badenoch is starting to sound a bit more effective, I know, because I watched in the House of Commons, sitting on the front bench for years while William Hague duffed up Tony Blair regularly. I mean, completely duffed him up. And Labour used to sit there with very long faces. Didn't cut through in the country at all because the country doesn't sit there watching Parliament.
Right.
And the Tories are having no cut through in the country.
No. And also, when people say Kemi Badenoch's doing a bit better now than she used to, she still doesn't really nail Starmer in the way that I think you would or anybody else would who was given the opportunity, for a guy who doesn't answer any questions. Like, for example, when he turned up on the Monday, a couple of Mondays ago, to establish why he had to wait 4 days to report on the whole Mandelson affair, she asked him 6 questions altogether, as opposed to what you might do if you were a clever sort of barrister or a lawyer, and you'd go, well, let me ask you one question at a time and let me bury you with your own answers. Surely that's what the tactic you would use, isn't it?
I think you would, certainly I would, think up one question and ask it again and again, and also have all the backbenchers behind me geared up, if they were truly disciplined, to asking the same question.
Yes.
So that, in the end, if he dodges the same question, not just, 2 or 3 times, but 20 or 30 times, that has cut through.
It does. And when we look at the state of the Starmer government, you see all manner of stories at the weekend. Rachel Reeves is either going to be saved or she's going to be sacked. Angela Rayner is either drunk in charge of the Strangers Bar, knocking out doors, or, they're trying to stop her from getting into power. Andy Burnham's going to run because nobody's going to stop him. I mean, it's pretty chaotic, isn't it? And I mean, nobody really seems to know what the future is for the government or for Starmer.
It is so chaotic that could actually be Starmer's salvation in terms of keeping his job. Because there is no obvious heavyweight successor who's acceptable both to the Blairites and the Corbynites. I mean, that person just does not exist. Where Streeting is the nearest you can come, but he is not strong. It's not looking as if he would win. Burnham isn't even in Parliament. You've got Miliband and Rayner as the 2 front runners. Well, God help the country, quite honestly.
Yeah, well, quite. And this is the problem, though, that we have now a paralysed government. We have a Prime Minister who is in office but not in power. He can't even control his own backbenchers. He talks about making Britain safe again. He put out a tweet of the weekend talking about making Britain stronger. Well, we've got a story on the front page of the Times today saying that we've got no money for new weapons in our Department of Defence till 2030. So we can't actually buy any more weapons. We've got no border security that we can speak about because people are coming at the rate of hundreds and hundreds a day again. We've got literally no economy worth a fag end because Rachel Reeves has destroyed it. And once again, last week we saw Premier Inns losing 4,000 people. We saw, I think it was Beefeater, the chain, losing another 4,000 people. We saw Claire's Accessories shutting down. I mean, so many well-known brands, British high street brands, which are now no longer running because they can't afford to actually make a business work. We've got nothing to boast about, have we?
Absolutely nothing, but all that you've just listed was so obvious that it was going to happen. And I mean, I've said on this program and in your previous incarnation, I have said many, many times that Rachel Reeves, wouldn't pass an economics exam in the first week of actually learning that subject. Because the first thing you learn is if you increase the costs of employment, you lose employees. And in turn, that means that employers have to restrict their services. Therefore, they get less. Therefore, they can employ fewer employees. That is so basic. It is so basic that I cannot believe she's devised an entire economic strategy based on the exact opposite.
Yeah. And yet now we're told that if she leaves office, somehow the markets won't like it because she's so good at her job. And you kind of go, sorry, what?
Well, it's like when we always heard that Gordon Brown was a prudent chancellor.
Yes.
This was the man who wrecked the occupational pension schemes, sold gold at bargain basement prices. But if you just keep repeating, oh, prudent, 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 somehow it's like a piece of propaganda. It gets through.
Yes, I know. It's remarkable, isn't it? So, I mean, again, I ask you this every time you're on. What is the prognosis from your point of view of when Starmer actually leaves? Because I'm still convinced that he's gone. I know it sounds mad. I've been saying it for like nearly 2 years now, but I just don't see how he lasts.
Well, in a way, I agree with you. I mean, it's almost impossible to see how he can go on as he is at the moment. He shows no signs whatever of any recovery. So in a way, I share that. But as I say, be careful what you wish for. The options are even worse. And I'd rather be left with an idiot like Starmer than with somebody possibly dangerous like Rayner or Miliband.
Yes. I mean, I suppose the trouble is we've seen, because I think for a lot of people, they don't understand how dangerous government can be. But we have seen this government completely destroy Britain. And as you say, the worst choice of Rayner and or Miliband could destroy it even more.
Well, it would destroy it even more. And that's, why I say repeatedly, Starmer is absolutely ineffectual. And he betrays Britain when he tries to sign us back with the EU and all the rest of it. But he is nothing like as dangerous as Rayner or Miliband, who I think would actually wreck the economy completely in probably 6 months. Probably 6 months.
Or possibly less. I mean, talking of the EU, £1 billion apparently a year is what we are going to be told, not asked to pay, told to pay, according to the Times, by the European Union. They've made it clear that we would be expected to pay £1 billion a year as a condition so that we could get further access to the single market in Europe, which we voted to leave. Why on earth would we agree to that?
Well, for the simple reason that Starmer has always been in the pocket of the EU, has never accepted the result of the referendum, and this is what he wants to do. But all I can say is, can you imagine the EU telling Prime Minister Nigel Farage that we have to pay $1 billion? And, if you can imagine the answer, that's why we need a reform government.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think a lot of people will put their mark in the place on Thursday and do just that. Even if it's just for local purposes. Anne, very good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Go and join Anne's Substack, where you can find all of her musings and some of ours as well. Good to see you. Have a great Bank Holiday Monday. Anne Whittaker's recommendation, by the way, for a drink on Bank Holiday Monday is champagne. That is the poll we've got at the moment. I don't know if we've actually got it up yet, but it's what would be your favourite lunchtime tipple for Bank Holiday. Champagne, beer, Chateau Pooch, or tea. And amazingly, beer and tea have come at the moment joint first with 34%. Must be a lot of Gen Zers, Pooch, drinking tea.
Should put water up there.
Yeah, but you should have put water. Well, I mean, that's what I'm drinking today. I won't be drinking any wine until possibly Wednesday, actually. And maybe Tuesday, I don't know. We'll see. Coming up, Intel Ladies here. Very good morning to you. We'll be saying hello later. She's going to be joining us once we switch over to UK Live, which is getting closer and closer to the point of no return, where we're going to be able to find out what other shows we're going to be able to put on. And don't forget, of course, as I keep reminding you, and Intel Lady's going to be there as well, a major part of the show on Wednesday night at the Shepherd's Bush Empire. I think a drunken Angela Rayner may appear at some point or other, you have to say. And also Bridget Phillipson. We've got to talk about Bridget Phillipson, who had a makeover in the Times at the weekend, which made her look quite interesting. And Pooch, I think, now fancies her, which is, a very unusual state of affairs, which we'll get to. Also, Christian Drogan's coming up from Watchmen. Lisa Francesca Nand as well, with the story that the government is now trying to get airlines to somehow ration their aviation fuel. Don't ask me why, because I don't think there's any room for that whatsoever. Should we do another little clip, Pooch, before we speak to Christian Drogan? Because I haven't seen... this is a guest that's actually going to come up, I think, a little bit later on in the week. She's a Reformed counsellor who is coming to us from London, and she's in the film. You might have actually come across this woman in the past. She's in the film business, right? Here's her name. Alexa Jago is her name. Ever heard of her?
No.
No? Okay, well, there's a little clip from her talking about cameras penalising motorists in London. Number 5, let's go.
I'm standing here in one of the most historic parts of Chelsea with a church that was built in the 12th century and a statue of Sir Thomas More and this beautiful bridge. But staring right at me is a camera. And here on the embankment and going over the bridges, there are these yellow cameras everywhere we look. Why are they there? Are they there to protect us? Are they helping us with crime? I don't think so. I think they're there to penalise motorists. There's a war against motorists and these cameras are part of it. If you're a service provider and you're driving over to Chelsea, what's the likelihood that you might get a ticket going 23 miles an hour in a 20 mile an hour zone that used to be a 30 mile an hour zone? It's a very high chance. That's going to cost you money. Then your car insurance is going to go up, making it harder and harder to service Chelsea, whether it be the estates down the road, Creemorn Estate, the World's End Estate, whether it be here in Cheney Walk, wherever it is, it's the same. It almost feels like we're being watched by these cameras. But I would say for all the wrong reasons.
Alexa Jago there, who's running for reform in London, talking about once again motorists becoming the victims of crime, as we call it, not just because people are breaking into their cars, but because governments, local governments up and down the country are now looking at charging £160, particularly out. It's already £160. I've got one here, which I unveiled to you that I got yesterday. 160 quid's worth of parking ticket for parking on a Sunday in a place that I thought was a perfectly good place to park. It turned out it was a bus stop, but there were no markings because they've all been worn away, right? A cash machine is what cars are now being looked upon. Ministers say they are carefully considering the findings of a trial in which a council hiked a parking ticket to an eye-watering £160 could work in every single part of the country, not just in London, which is unbelievable, right? It's backed by cash-strapped councils and the parking industry, because that's the only way they've got of making money, which is ridiculous. By the way, I can proudly announce that we've now hit 158,000 subscribers. We've got 18.5 million views. So we're getting up to that number, magic 20 million number, which we will celebrate very much when it happens, probably in about a week and a half's time. Another big story that we haven't really spent much time on today is that there are 600,000 families now for whom welfare pays more than work. And these are people who basically don't work because they get so much money for not working that there isn't any point in them getting a job. Which is ludicrous, isn't it? Completely and utterly mad. But right now, though, let's speak to Christian Drogan from Watchmen. He is our man with his eye on the borders because nobody else is watching him. Christian, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I see that you've been busy. You've been out there making a live stream. You've been over to Belgium. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, Mike, this morning I wanted to speak to you about the two deaths in the Channel. There's a 16-year-old girl and a woman in her 20s who died in the Channel. Well, actually, it's sort of believed that they died before they were in the Channel, maybe getting on the boat. It appears of being crushed to death on an overcrowded boat. Now. Yes. What the sort of aspects that I want to sort of talk to you about on this is something that nobody else is talking about. You know, there has been things broadcast and publicised on it before, but we have obviously done quite serious investigation on the other side of the channel. We've also got our contacts in the on the border force boats in the rescue operation, and we've seen text messages between themselves. And one of the things is that there are a lot of people dying either in the channel, or what's also happening is that dead bodies are being put onto boats. So we know that in one rescue operation there was there was a dead corpse, and the protocol, because they've got protocol for dead bodies that are found on dinghies when they rescue the people on the boats. One of the protocols is you do CPR until we get back to shore. This dead corpse was having CPR done on it for 45 minutes. The guy knew he was dead, but it's not up to him to declare the death. So they have to do the CPR on a dead corpse over the channel. Now, we obviously have got this insider information from our sort of relations that we've made with people in the channel. And it really shocks me that more people aren't talking about the deaths in the channel, or, sort of before they actually get on the boats. Something's happening, whether they've not paid and they're being stabbed and the body just gets thrown on the boat, so that the smugglers don't really have to face a murder investigation,
right.
Or obviously as well, then the French police don't have to do a murder investigation. They don't have to deal with dead bodies and burials and trying to identify it. It just comes over to Britain, and it's another problem for us to deal with.
Right. So we're having as a country to import literally dead people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, effectively, Mike. And
wow.
There's people that are being stabbed before they get on the boat for not paying. Just right, you stab, get on the boat. It doesn't have to be dealt with in France. And yeah, I mean, for me, the UK government in this situation is culpable. We have spoke to Carl de Cailloux, who is the governor of the north coast of Belgium, and I asked him. I just said, do you think the British government is culpable? Or anyway, I think we've got the clip to play. If you want to play that clip.
Yeah, here we go.
Is the UK to blame for making it so attractive for asylum seekers to come to?
I think one of the points for me, what I heard, yesterday I was in Dover for a commemoration of the raid on Zeebrugge. I have also a lot of talks. I think, but it's very difficult to say, but it's one of my strong beliefs. You have a huge black market. A huge black market in the building industry. You have in the HoReCa, car washes. And that's also, I think, a big issue. If they get into the UK, a lot of people work during the whole day. I heard for only 10 pounds in a day. Yeah, that's really, that's not okay. But that's also, I think, an issue. But that's not for me. That's for the British politics. That's not for me. But I think that's maybe also an issue.
That's an extraordinary revelation, that, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, this for me, when I hear that, my sort of first thoughts are, right, okay, so this is a foreign person talking about the issues in Britain, which we're aware of. We know that sort of thing is happening. But the problem that comes to my mind, so for example, let's just focus on the Sudanese, Somalian knife attacker in London the other day, as an example. So he was a British citizen. Now, what you have to think, right, okay, so we knew who that guy was. Okay, we knew who he was. I believe that he'd stabbed a police officer in the past. He spent a bit of time in prison, yet still he's had a British citizenship. Now, think about what that guy just said. There's people working in the black market in the UK. Well, if they're working in the black market, it's highly likely that we don't know who these people are. They're still effectively undocumented. And that, for me, causes great cause for concern, especially knowing a lot of the other things that I know, such as this, or I've been told, I can't say I know it, but I've been told many a time about, sleeper cells, Taliban, ISIS, Iranian, in the UK in quite large numbers. So, there's some serious cause for concern with all this, and yeah, I mean,
No question. Listen,
just...
you and I have spoken about this before. We know for a fact that there was at least one Iranian sleeper cell because they were all arrested a couple of years ago, and they were all involved in trying to operate in various different ways against the Israeli embassy that was here. They had plotted, all kinds of things against various different Jewish neighbourhoods and Jewish groups. And also, I've always been of the belief, and I'm sure you have got some evidence of this as well, that people quite often come to this country having not paid the smugglers, but they work their passage once they get here. So once they have been provided with the free trip across the channel, they then get sent to work either in a drug gang or go and work in a car wash, or if they're a female, they may end up working in the sex industry. These are people who are basically then indebted and enslaved by the gangmasters to work in the black market.
And it makes, for me, it's kind of like, at what point do we find out when these people are? Is it when they've committed a horrific sexual assault or offence, or God forbid, a murder? Is that the point that we then find out who these people are? It's got to stop at some point, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it today, because I think it needs more light shining on it, really.
I mean, there's so many problems. There's a big piece, I don't know if you've seen it today in the Times, a spread written by somebody called Emma Yeomans, who's gone over to the other side, where hundreds and hundreds of migrants are clambering onto these dinghies. And it obviously now seems as though, given what happened yesterday in this crush, that it's becoming more and more dangerous just to even get on the boats, right? But they're talking about, the Times piece talks about the French police actually separating mothers and children on the beach, and in some cases putting unaccompanied kids aged as young as 3 on the boats and leaving the mothers behind.
Well, I've got also some sort of an insider insight to this as well. When you speak to people on the ground over in France and in Belgium, obviously they have a very, they're quite, some people are very knowledgeable on it. They have a big interest in it, as sort of we do over this way. But one of the things that I was told, and this has actually been reported in the past, I can't remember when, but it has been reported in Britain, that women and children, and I've been told this over by members of the public in France and Belgium, that these women and children often are being put on the boats as, let's say, human shields from the French police, because it's almost like if there's a woman and child on the boat, then what will happen is the French police are a lot less likely to turn that boat around. And that's been confirmed from people on the ground in France.
So, as you say, a human shield aspect to it, whereby... But it's so dangerous, isn't it? And this is the thing that you can't quite believe from those in politics who say, we have to offer sanctuary to these people. They're fleeing war, they're fleeing, torment, torture. They're actually putting people's lives at risk by putting them on these boats.
Unbelievably so, yeah. And there's enough evidence to support that, and for the fact that Carl de Cailloux said, there's enough pull factors, not just put out by the government, but the illegal market that's not being policed, the illegal sort of black market of work, the illegal working market, sort of. The fact that they're not policing that, and the fact that we know they could stop the boats. I know from my investigations and my knowledge that those boats could be stopped tomorrow. The fact that they are not being stopped, to me, it just means one thing: the government, and including the Tories, they've got blood on their hands. Yeah,
no question at all. You get a lot of praise for your bravery. You're also getting quite a bit of love from some women saying you're very handsome. So I don't know whether that's embarrassing for you or not. But anyway, there you are. What are you up to this week? Next couple of weeks? You got a couple more projects you can tell us about?
Yeah, we have, Mike. We'll be going back over broad, deeper into Europe, not actually just on the coast of, not just sort of English Channel, but we're going deep into Europe. We want to start investigating the migrant crisis throughout Europe, and sort of, I mean, really, without just trying to find a way to say it without laying away too much, but effectively, the decisions that European governments are making across across the EU on how that is affecting the population such as Spain.
Yes.
Just to give a bit away.
Yes.
But yeah, you know.
Well, I mean, we saw, did we not?
some
Was it last week, I think it was, where the Spanish government have said they're going to grant 500,000 work visas to people coming from North Africa. And, you know, it's almost unbelievable that you would say that as an announcement, because all that's going to happen is now there's going to be a mass exodus from North Africa to Spain of probably double that number or triple that number of people who fancy getting a visa.
Well, they're not exactly verified images. However, there are images circulating around social media of just, you know, sort of like a mass trail of migrants, you know, walking sort of through the borders, and it's pretty shocking to see. Again, I'm not sure if it's verified or not, but that's what we are going to investigate. We want to go there and we want to verify it and see it with our own eyes and bring the information back to Britain. Yeah,
I mean, you don't even have to look at what's going on in Spain. You just have to walk around the streets of Britain to see where people are coming, because they're all coming here. I can tell you, that's where they're ended up.
That's it. Well, the problem is, and this is something that we found when we went to the Belgium refugee centre, that what we found is that the people who seem to, the people who were going through the correct processes in terms of seeking asylum, they seemed okay on the whole. The people who seem to be going through the illegal channels using the people smugglers to get to Britain, well, as we saw on our live broadcast together, that was a very different kettle of fish, a very different type of person. So it's almost like, I'll put it bluntly, we're getting the dregs of the asylum seekers, maybe because they've been declined in the EU.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, we wish you luck with it, Christian, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to seeing some of the reports that you're going to be able to do for us as well. A couple of quotes, a couple of messages coming in. Ladies, please calm down, says Tony. All right. I mean, you know, how do you think I feel here? I'm sitting next to this guy. Can he read the news, please, says Kirsty. Well, you know, I don't know if you want to do that. Next time Chris is on, can he be shirtless? Asking for a friend. Says Nancy. Well, maybe we can get you, on the beach in your swimming trunks or something. I don't know.
You never know.
I don't want to mean. I think
it could be one of our missions. I might be in my swimming attire soon for one of the missions that I've got planned. Let's just put it that way.
Pooch says that do wonders for your YouTube figures, but I think it's disgraceful that people are trying to sexually kind of exploit you just because you happen to be a very handsome man. But listen, you're also a fantastic reporter, fantastic journalist. You'd be very proud of what you're doing, seriously, as I think you're brilliant.
I appreciate that, Mike.
And one from Ruth who says, what a hero Christian is. He certainly walks the walk, I think you mean to say. He does. Listen, good luck, man. I'll see you soon, and thank you very much for spending some time with us. Take it easy. Christian Drogan there from Watchman, and watchman.com is where you can find a lot of the stuff that they do, and they've got their own YouTube channel now as well. I've got a couple of quick announcements to make. This is about the live show on a Wednesday night, which is only 2 nights away. Still tickets available on Ticketmaster, but if you're a founding member of the Substack group with tickets going to the meet and greet on Wednesday, please make sure you send a DM on Substack to confirm your place in order to receive the schedule and the details, because if you haven't done that and you don't have them, you won't know what to do. Also, only those people who are actually founding members are able to do that. So please do make sure that you've sent a DM on Substack so that we can identify you. And so when you do get there on Wednesday, we know who you are. Does that make sense? Yeah. So thank you very much indeed. And if you want, as I say, if you want to buy a ticket, they're still available to us. We're going to speak to Lisa Francesca Nand coming up very shortly. I don't know if she's here yet. She is. Okay, well, let's do it, because we keep hearing all the way through recently, and in fact, there was government ministers on. Heidi Alexander, the transport minister, was on TV yesterday, basically saying that they're going to try and make sure that airlines do not have to cancel any kind of flights. They don't have to limit the numbers of flights going because of a shortage of jet fuel. It's difficult to know in some ways whether or not some of these stories are, in fact, sort of, shall we say, slightly less true than they might otherwise be, whether they're just scare stories. But let's talk to Lisa Francesca Nand, who knows everything about the travel industry you need to know. Lisa, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
So, I mean, we're talking about a shortage of aviation fuel, obviously because of what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz and all the rest of it. Heidi Alexander yesterday, the Transport Secretary, was saying, oh, well, we're working with various providers of refineries and all the rest of it. I mean, they've shut refineries down in Britain, which doesn't really help. So we haven't got much jet fuel of our own, but apparently we're importing it from West Africa. I don't think the airline industry's got much elasticity in it, has it? I mean, you don't get on very many flights these days that aren't completely full.
No, there is elasticity, and what the airline industry was actually calling for is what the government have now said they're going to do, which is essentially trying to get ahead of any potential problems rather than sort of reacting to any chaos later. And you sort of hinted at it there. We have seen headlines saying, oh, Lufthansa cancels 20,000 flights, which sounds like a lot. It is a lot, and has genuinely happened. But those flights are in Germany to Poland, so they don't necessarily affect us. So all of the British carriers at the moment are saying that we're fine. British Airways, EasyJet, TUI, Jet2 Holidays have all said that for the moment we're fine. And what they do is they hedge the price of fuel. So at the moment, from now, looking towards the early part of the summer, at least everything's okay. So with the government legislation, they've basically asked that they can cancel slots and put people onto other routes if necessary, which is actually a preventative measure and should help the situation. But at the moment, I would say just carry on ahead and booking as normal, and that's what I'm personally doing.
I mean, if in fact there is something that happens and you get your flight either cancelled or moved, or because I'm sort of thinking back to the old days when there used to be so many flights going everywhere all the time, and you'd get on a flight to New York or something because there was one an hour, and it would be half empty. And then they suddenly started putting flights together and suddenly cancelling one, and you'd find it was a bit more full. And is there any kind of, and if you book a flight and you find that it's now been changed to another day or another time, do you get compensation for that or not?
No, you don't get any compensation, but if you can't take the flight, you could get a refund or get onto a different flight. And that's exactly what will happen. I mean, we're not at that stage yet, but if it comes to the point where we do have to start cancelling flights, then exactly what you just said, there are routes that go to destinations multiple times a day, and some of them aren't full, that does happen, and it gives people options to travel from, say, Heathrow to New York several times a day. So what will happen is those flights will get consolidated, so more people will be on one flight, but it means that actually you can still go. It's just your flight might be several hours later than it was going to be before.
Yeah, which is not always that convenient though, is it? Because I mean, for some people, for example, if you've got to pick up a car or you've got to pick up keys for a house, or you know what I mean? It's like it's not always it's not always as straightforward, is it?
It's not always as straightforward. I mean, when you're cancelled and you've got to go to a different time of day, it's probably a little bit better. But, we always say this when there are problems in the travel industry and people say, the airline will say to you, oh, you can get your money back or you can get onto the nearest flight. Now, the nearest flight in very, very busy times might actually not be until Tuesday, and you were due to fly on Friday and you've missed, the meeting you were going for, the wedding you were going for, the funeral you were going for, the party, or just the long weekends that you were going to go to. Or like you said, picking up keys, cars, all sorts of logistical issues, hotel cancellations. So you're right, it's not always straightforward or convenient. But what they would start with first is these, those routes that have a lot of flights to that route, to and from that route. Every day. But you're right, there's always going to be someone who's going to be inconvenienced by it. However, I will caveat that with we're not at that stage yet here in the UK. I mean, who knows how long the war is going to go on for. And also, Dubai in the Middle East was a popular place for Easter and for half term, although getting a little bit hot. And we still can't travel there. It's still, the Foreign Office have still said, do not travel to the UAE.
Right. So there's still no, I think British Airways were the first to cancel flights to Dubai. So there's still no flights that you can get to Dubai then. Is that the case?
No, you can, if you really wanted to get on a flight, you can get onto a flight. But there aren't many flights going there. There are some flights available with some airlines, but you have to, have a really good reason for going there. In fact, I do know someone who's there on holiday at the moment, but he's a very gung-ho character. So you can go. But the Foreign Office advise against going there. So that will mean if anything goes wrong, your insurance won't be valid and you won't necessarily have that financial backing. But if you can get on a flight and you really want to go, of course, some people have family there. I think you do as well, don't you, Mike?
My daughter's there. So, I mean, is it cheaper to go now because of what's happened or not?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. I haven't looked at the prices, but I imagine that I don't know what's happening right now because there are obviously fewer flights. But what does happen after periods of disruption, which we are in now, and this is something we saw after COVID, is that actually it does mean there's a cheaper boom in flights coming up after these restrictions end. Particularly to places like the Middle East where we haven't been able to travel, and Israel, of course. So something to look out for as soon as the conflict ends is actually you probably are going to get a much cheaper deal. And I remember when all those restrictions that were going on post-COVID, I got like a first-class flight to LA for like 300 quid, which was amazing. So there will be a travel boom, as there always is after restrictions like this. But like we said, we don't know at the moment how long the conflict is going to start affecting us for.
But that's the other problem as well, is you get mixed signals from the government, because Keir Starmer was interviewed the other week saying, I think people should probably just go on holiday at home and just have a staycation, which is all very well, but unfortunately Rachel Reeves wants to charge you extra tax money for going to a caravan in Skegness for the summer. So it's actually more expensive for a lot of people to go on holiday here than it is to go abroad.
It is, and I don't know about those incidences that you're referring to, so I can't comment about that. But I often find that it is really expensive going away in this country, and it's such a shame, isn't it? Because I know that hospitality in this country is suffering, with the prices of food and fuel and everything. But it is absolutely very expensive, it feels, to go out and eat and drink in this country compared to, say, Spain, when you can pop out for tapas and a coffee costs €1.50, and here you're lucky to get one under £3, aren't you? So and then multiply that by 10 when you're popping out for a pizza with kids or your family, or they want ice cream. And no, I always say that it's often cheaper to go away. And if you're eating out and things like that, obviously, which many of us want to when we go away, that's a big part of it. It is often cheaper to go abroad than stay here, sadly. But, we have some amazing places in this country as well. So staycation, by all means, too.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to drive anywhere, because obviously that costs you a fortune as well, or take the train. So if you're going to walk somewhere, I think, on holiday, that's probably the thing, do a house swap with the people across do a house swap with the people across the street or something like that,
You'll have a great time, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. What about yourself? What do you do? You go back and forth to Spain quite a lot, don't you? You still doing that?
Like many people, I mean, this isn't uncommon as well, is it? I've got, friends and family. My parents live in Spain and I grew up there. So I travel a lot wider for work. I'm lucky enough to get a lot of amazing travel perks for what I do. But I'll go home to my parents who are in their 80s. I'll go home for 4 weeks so I can take my work, take my laptop, take the kids, and it's kind of like living here, but there, but, obviously cheaper and hotter with swimming pools and beach nearby.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, let's hope it's a reasonably good summer. For a lot of people could do with a holiday. I'm one of them, actually. Trying to figure out what to do. Lisa, Francesca, Nan, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. We're plotting a possible trip to France, Pooch, aren't we?
Yes,
which we might go to get the old Chateau Pooch firsthand, which I've got here. Very kindly brought me back a few bottles of this stuff from his local... I don't know, what would you call it? The local... What do they call those places in... Gîtes? Gîtes. Sorry, I apparently get that wrong. Intel ladies here. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
How nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
You're looking very well rested and fresh for a Monday bank holiday.
I had a late night last
Did you?
night, so the power of makeup.
Well, the power of makeup. Well, I can say the same. Now, we're going to be talking to you about Wednesday night, of course, and we're going to be moving over to UK Live at some point, Pooch.
Yep.
But how do you want to do it? Do you want to do a bit of Pooch's Pooch first? Do you want to do... Have we got a Pooch's Pooch? This is our little sort of cheer everybody up section. But my favourite one was last week when we did the Beagles.
Oh, there's loads more of those.
Is there more of those?
The whole channel.
What, do the Beagles do more cooking?
Different things.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'll get those.
Let's have a look at what Pooch's Pooch is for the day. The eyes.
I love that.
Oh. The whining, isn't it? Yeah, the squeeze is gone, I think.
There you go.
Brilliant. Yeah, we did I do an Ask Mike at the weekends for the Substack, and we try and get Ziggy to sit and be really well behaved. And so for some reason yesterday he saw that the person filming it had the treats and it wasn't me that had them, so he just sort of got up and walked off because he thought if I go over there I'll get some more, which is quite funny. But yeah, so how are you feeling? Are you here now until Wednesday? Are you down south, as it were, for the duration?
South. I am.
There's been a lot to talk about, hasn't there? And you've been putting out some brilliant clips. We should have actually had one ready, but I don't think we do.
I've got a clip.
Have you got a clip ready?
Yeah, let me put a clip.
Because there's been some brilliant Hannah Spencer stuff going out that you've done.
Oh, she's gold.
She's fantastic, isn't she?
Gold at the moment.
Let's stick one.
And I mean, here we go. Have a look.
So let's come back to the war that's broken out in Iran, and I would like to know how would the Green Party navigate the war if they were in charge, if they were in government? How would they navigate this very volatile situation? I think if the Green Party were in government during time of war, I think Zach would be absolutely amazing at bringing all sides together and sitting them down and saying, right, first of all, let's do some basic breathing exercises, like deep breathing through the nose and out through the mouth. And then afterwards, I think he'd say, like, let's dig deep into like internalized trauma that might have caused you to like take out 30,000-40,000 of your own people. Like, where is that hurt in your life? Where is that trauma? And I think that would go down really well, because this is something, that Donald Trump is just not capable of doing. Like, that man does not know how to sit and talk to people. He's not a talker, and he doesn't know how to negotiate anything. Like, he has no experience when it comes to negotiating. And I think that...
So good. It's just brilliant. I mean, obviously... there's going to be there's so much to talk about, which we're going to do in a minute because we're going to flip over to UK Live. But in terms of your job now, they're making it so easy.
They do. They're writing
Aren't
it
they?
for me.
They're literally giving you something every day now.
It's between Hannah Spencer
Yeah.
and the Labour Party.
Yeah, us Labours, as you like to call them.
All of us Labours. Angela Rayner getting absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
And
knocking the door off, by the way.
Knocking the door off its hinges, mate.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I just wanted to see the scene of her banging into this door, and then the door needs to be repaired. Not her. She's fine. She just keeps going.
Brilliant.
But what did you see the pictures of Bridget Phillipson that I was talking about earlier in the Times?
She
had this makeover, looking as if she was on her way to Monte Carlo or something.
Yeah, the hair was done. Call it a blowout. Which, ironically, is probably what's going to happen to Labour this week.
Indeed, absolutely right. Right, so listen, what we're going to do for... Go on. Okay.
First time I've seen it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Look at that smasher. Look at that.
I mean, if you saw her in a Newcastle nightclub, you'd go, she's not from here. She's all dolled up. I mean, the great thing would be
new dress.
Once she gets home, and by the end of the night, that's all gone, isn't it? Hair's gone, the dress is half off. Anyway, listen, we're going to go over to UK Live, which is the new channel we're building. Bit of a super chat first. In the interest of balance, we need Charlotte's cat. I don't like pooches, says DJ. What do you mean don't like pooches? How can you not like dogs? I'm not having that.
Outrageous.
That is outrageous. It's almost worth a ban, that, isn't it? You have to ban everybody who doesn't like dogs. But anyway, listen, we'll be back. What's going to happen now is Pooch will switch you over. If you're on the YouTube chat, you will be switched over to UK Live, and that's where we're going to be doing the new shows. We're about to put out some kind of schedule, I think, for it, aren't we?
We'll be working on that over next week.
Pooch is going to be working. I mean, it's not like he hasn't got anything else to do. You know, we do the live show production. He just doesn't stop. We're just waiting for it.
Happening now.